Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.
Think she can't get a last-second clutch? Watch this. Think he can't carry his team while streaming in high resolution? All the while recording a once-in-a-lifetime win? Watch this. Think leveling up only happens in-game? Watch this. On Intel Core i7, they'll rise to every challenge. Now it's your turn. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the ESL UK Premiership Series for Rainbow Six Siege, presented by ESL and of course powered by Intel and gaming at Courage PC's World. My name is Christopher Panky Pagast. I am joined this week by the wonderful, beautiful Democast. How are you doing, my man?
I've never had such a very polite opening. Usually, whoever I'm with, I just, completely blew me away.
Well, without being too harsh, I think you need new desk coach friends.
May need to, I think. Kind of calling you out there, Des, for that one, but, I've got an upgrade, which is good tonight. We've got an upgrade. It's been a while for you, but
it has been a while for me,
I know,
but it's good to be back.
A lot of people who have, I'm sure, are really excited that they get to see you cast. You came back to Siege, but casting aspect, yes, been a while.
Yeah, no, I've been around, been keeping an eye on things, keeping an eye on the space, but as you say, actually behind this part of the desk, ready to properly go through a live game again, rather than an analyst desk. It's been a bigger gap on that front, but I'm excited to get back into it.
Yeah, it's all fairly standard. It's been a pretty smooth sailing season at the moment, but we still have plenty more action to come. At least 2 more weeks that we have off just the regular season, then finally that playoff season is where we're really going to see some of the best Siege that these teams can really provide.
Yes, exactly. So let's, of course, run you guys through the format in case you are unaware or you're a new viewer perhaps to the Premiership Series here. We have 8 teams playing through a round-robin best-of-1 over these 7 weeks. And as Demo said, we have 2 more to go, this week included. So this is week 6 and week 7 next. Each win is 3 points. Draws are worth 1. That should be familiar to people that are fans and viewers of the Pro League as well. Top 2 teams qualified directly to the final, and then 3rd to 6th place will have another battle for the playoffs to decide who joins for the remaining 2 places at that LAN final spot. Yeah, pretty straightforward. We're basically just throwing all of these teams into a massive mixing pot, really seeing who comes out on top. I know last season we did do it a little bit differently where we had 2 groups and then we seen teams not play against these other teams. Before it was only the LAN event really seen that, but now we really get to see the best from the worst. And kind of have seen that just a little bit. If you want to bring up some of the standings, and we'll have a look to see really where it's just starting to shape, because this is where we have a good understanding what teams are going to go to LAN, what teams are not, and really what teams are still fighting for at least a playoff spot. And say, I'm going to run through the points that are there. Yeah, Team Secret, I know it's a name that a lot of people will recognize. Of course, the Pro League squad that I think everyone would expect them to be out in front. They are 4-1 at the moment, but they are closely followed by Vexed and M&M Gaming and Guidance. Both have very real opportunities here over the next couple of weeks to get up to those top 2 positions.
Yeah, looking at the bottom half as well, you have Unnamed, Horizon, Barrage, and Wind and Rain. Wouldn't really count Unnamed being in that bottom half. They're still very close as well. As you can see, 8 points to the double 9 M&M and Guidance have. And then Horizon, Barrage, and Wind and Rain, the 3 weaker teams we've seen this season. Finally, Horizon, they did manage to get their first win of the season against Wind and Rain, who are still searching for that. And because of that, they've jumped ahead of Barrage. So the team that was sitting in that 6th spot for nearly 5 weeks, they have managed to succeed that, and this is where Barrage, they're looking not too hot, as they're kind of sitting in the seat that they don't want to be, because those 3 teams, they are still fighting for a playoff spot. It's still possible in terms of the way that the scheduling has went that either 3 of those teams can actually qualify for the playoffs, but at the moment you're certainly looking at Horizon, who did play so well last week.
What was I talking about last week? And before we dive into this week's scheduling games, let's look at the results from those last week matches and see how that follows the story as you mentioned. So Wind and Rain firing off against Horizon down the bottom, but also firing off against Guidance up top as the top half of the table.
Should be Barrage. The first Wind and Rain should be Barrage.
Yeah, so Barrage versus Guidance was up top, and Guidance did take that 6-1. Secret and Unnamed, as you say, it was very close to Secret despite being, say, 4-1 out in front, looking dominant on the standings. Unnamed, despite being down in 5th place, held them very close to it.
Yeah, another thing to point out as well, also at the top, it should be, we've had a bit of a mishap. Yeah, it should be Barrage versus M&M, guys. We're not making Wind and Rain and Guidance play more matches. We're not that cruel here at ESL UK, but we still will get that sort of. As you can see, pretty fairly standard of what I was expecting anyway last week. Couple of close matches, some a bit more one-sided, and I'm kind of expecting that again tonight.
Well, yeah, talking about tonight, let's look at the games here, and after, say, talking through those previous standings, let's see where it lands. Horizon versus M&M is our first one to kick us off here. Then we'll have Barrage versus Wind and Rain, then Guidance versus Unnamed, and finally locking it out, we'll have our top of the table clash between Secret and Vexed, which I know is a big one in terms of, one, a lot of the names and the players in that on both sides, but also because these next 2 weeks, some of Vexed roster is very much locked up and busy.
Yeah, looking at it, next week, we will not see Feral here, and we will not see Pengu here because they did qualify for the Rio finals. So this
week they're bootcamping, so
exactly.
they're also,
I think Feral can play.
They might still be able to play. We'll get to, of course, as we get through to that last game. But point is, they've got other focuses, and their mind may not be in the Vex game today. So it could be the time for Secret to snatch it out and extend that lead.
Even if we did have Pengu and Feral and everybody playing, you'd still always kind of nudge it towards Secret because it is Secret. They don't have to prep for Rio. They don't have to keep their strategies away. They can just toss out all their strategies, which they never used this season because, of course, once a new season comes around, then they're going to have to completely change those strategies. So this is where it's kind of just a bit of a beat-up bullying session for Secret.
Yeah, well, that's, of course, our last game of the night, so let's dive and circle back to our first. Horizon versus M&M, then. How do you see that going down here, Demo? Is there an easily favoured team there to come out on top?
Well, M&M were never really the team that we looked at the start of the season where, team where they're in this position where they could still potentially be on for the 2nd seeded spot for the LAN. M&M, they have looked very strong. They're the only team that has managed to take away points from Secret with that draw inside of week 1. They've had some pretty good matches as well. And the way that the scheduling works, they now have the easiest run that they could want to finish out this season. They had Barrage, who they completely swept under the carpet, and now they have Horizon. Sure, Horizon, they got their first win, but it was against Wind and Rain. It wasn't really that spectacular, and I'm kind of expecting the same from M&M as just this complete tear that they've been on this entire season. And then even next week, they have Wind and Rain to go through.
Yeah, all right. Let's bring up the map Vita then on the screen and find out and talk me through how important are these maps going to be to this matchup. You say M&M do, in theory, have the easy run here with these opponents for the next few weeks, but are there any maps that Horizon could upset them on? Are there any that M&M really want to get out of the pool? How do you see this shaping up?
Well, it's going to be Clubhouse, so it is a map which both these teams are comfortable on. I know that Horizon, they don't have the kind of same depth of a map pool that other teams may have, but Clubhouse is certainly in their range. But you're up against M&M, and that was the map that they played the first week inside of the Prem way back when. It's been quite a while since then, and that was against Secret, and they took a draw against Secret on Clubhouse, so that kind of has to tell you something that Horizon a bit questionable with going for that massive pick where you're arguably going against a team who has looked very dominant on that map.
But you've also got the 5, 6 weeks since that happened that Horizon could have been watching it, counter-stratting and learning from it. Are they a team that has that kind of skill in their back pocket? Are they good at analyzing and counter-stratting their opponents? And could M&M, having revealed that in the opening week, perhaps come back to hurt them?
Well, the first weeks about Horizon where they weren't that invested inside the Premiership. They didn't really scrim that much. They didn't have these strat sessions. But really, these past couple of weeks, they've really switched on. And it's proven as they did get their first win. They've had 2 roster changes where they brought in Bike and also No Aim. I would say that those 2 players are going to have to be the big carries because I don't really expect, you know, the supports like Buster or Shattered, who's been here since the start. Not as strong as those 2 players, and certainly going up against M&M, where they have also a wider range of very capable players. They have fraggers, they have support roles, they have Glasmians, which should be the ban that I hope that we will see getting banned out away. No, it's going to be Maverick, so this is where I start to fear for Horizon, because they're going up against a Glaz, which has been so dominant inside of that M&M roster.
Let's see whether they have a plan up their sleeve for dealing with it then. Obviously, they put Maverick up there as a bigger threat than that Glaz. They must know it's coming. You know it's coming. Everyone seems to know that that Glaz is on its way, so hopefully they have something in mind to deal. They've gone, and there is our first defensive ban coming through on Horizon with that Valkyrie. And, of course, a very quick final ban coming through from M&M onto Mira. So some of these bans not too crazy surprising in the Lion and the Mira, but as we can now finally dive in to our opening round, Horizon's defensive opener might have a lot to show us for how this whole series is going to play out. As you've mentioned, that Glaz almost guaranteed to come out. Sorry, the other way around. Horizon are attacking first. We'll see how the Glaz shapes up when things switch, but can M&M hold them firm? Their first 5 defensive operators are Bandit, Jaeger, Maestro, Smoke, and Echo. So that's a lot of area denied in Maestro, Echo, and Smoke. They're going to control the spaces.
Yeah, it's looking pretty standard at the moment for M&M. I know that whenever we did see M&M play against Secret, they actually went for a bit of an unusual ban where they decided to go for the Smoke. This time I think they've kind of learned from their mistakes. They know how strong really Smoke can be for their team as well, so that has been let through this time around. So yeah, looking at it for a downstairs, you have so much denial, especially in towards that B bomb site, which is primarily where I would imagine the guys from Horizon want to try and pressure. But another big thing which has really hurt them for this particular bomb site, I'm sure they were probably expecting that cash room, is they don't have Abana, who is so great for this bottom floor simply because she has those X-Kairoses which are really good at getting open those hatches. And with Thermite, we're kind of going way back into the kind of year 1 meta where Habana wasn't around and you really have to kind of pick what push you want to go for. It's either get 2 hatches off or a hatch and a wall potentially. I
was going to say the old season 1 meta when you didn't have Habana, or even the season since where you did have her option but didn't pick it, you go with just Thermite. You're kind of left with, say, that one push option of you open that bar hatch and then you try and open the church wall underneath it. If you can't get through there, you've got no way. Sometimes you can maybe see a team go for one option in they brought a Buck in that you open the kitchen floor completely with the Buck, but then you use one of the Thermite charges on the construction tunnel and you try and push from that angle with a man down the main stairs, but it's still not too hard for the defense to rotate from their standard positions to hold either of those 2 pushes. So there's not much of a worry from the defenses of, okay, well, we have to commit one side or another, because both of those strong attacks from a Thermite-only push are so focused on the same angles.
So Horizon, they will start to work their way in and start this room clear out. We know that Clubhouse can be played as a bit of a roamer haven as well. So yeah, getting this early access in towards that top floor really certifies yourself to start having that beachhead. And a map like Clubhouse, you have plenty of time that you really have at your disposal to clear out these roamers and get yourself set up for the push. We talk about so much that Clubhouse, especially for the bottom floor, it is pretty much a bloodbath at the very last second of the round where everybody drops the hatches or tries to push in through doorways, and it's kind of just refrag city where it's just whoever has the better angles being held. No roamers on the side of M&M. There may still be a couple of late rotations that potentially Citizen, who has been a very strong player on this roster this entire season. So yeah, I'm kind of expecting this late rotate and talking about that. Citizen will do just that.
Yeah, called it perfectly. 5 players in the basement, not an uncommon strategy for the defense on Clubhouse, not especially on the old version. New version, as you mentioned, opens up more roam possibilities, and they chose to go for that late option. They had the camera in the garage, and now they're going to try and see if Citizen can make his mark. With a minute on the clock, it's kind of perfect timing for him too. That drone is alive, but he smartly hasn't killed it yet because it wasn't active. He didn't see it. But as the hatch has been opened in kitchen and the floor's been opened surrounding it, it does look like Horizon are ready to try and make their push forward. Citizen now continues to creep on through up behind him. There are pings going out from some players, but I'm not sure if it's the attacking team who still seem to be unaware about Citizen's play here. His phone has gone off. That's the second Dokubi charge already used, but if they hear it above him, it might be something. Smoke charges are being used to deny the drop here to kitchen, which means they know there's at least 1 or 2 players in there. That's why Smoke is using them. And this is Citizen's chance to come down right behind it. And Leo picks up the first kill, and Raihazu, the IQ down. Bandit finds his first kill as Shattered is taken out in the main bar section. Comes on forward through to the main corridor. Dokubi has finally decided it's time to pay attention to Bandit in this direction. Does manage to pick up the kill. No aim with the first one for the attackers, but they still got the man disadvantage. 4 versus 3. There's Bakik pushing through the kitchen drop, and the plant is going down. Another one drops through kitchen, but no aim will be picked off before he's even hit the floor. And the Buster is trying to hold Smoke in that tunnel, but fails as Frau takes him out from a different angle, leaving just Bakik now all on his own. He's got 2 players to find after picking up another kill for himself, but the diffuser is down, and they're already on it. Maestro pushes aggressively. He will get down, but the man's sitting on the diffuser. He's holding it. He pulls off, but Frau picks up the kill in the last possible second and still has time for the defuse.
That was as close as you potentially could have played out that round. The diffuser somehow in the midst of all of that action did manage to get planted, but just too little too late really for the Sophia. Couldn't do anything in that scenario. Too much HP on the Echo, not enough for the Sophia. And well, M&M with an excellent retake. They do manage to secure themselves the first round, and that's going to be the bottom floor locked out for them, but that's always going to be a good thing, as this does open up for that cash room still. And even if they want to, they could just go for the gym and bedroom right away. Not really expecting any bar and stock room sometimes. Since the new update that we had with Clubhouse, bar and stock just has not been played. I still think it's pretty viable. You know, look at it. A Smoke rules that entire bomb site.
Like ever since it was changed, I couldn't help but look at it and go, all these changes have helped make it more defensible, and that was partly the point.
You can't plant a pull table.
No, exactly. You can't abuse the fact that you've got ACOGs on the attack anymore and just cover the entire site with a couple of holes. You can't use a glass with a smoke and cover the entire both sites with the holes and smoke grenades. It's now harder for the attackers to get in and use, but teams still don't seem to favor it, still don't seem to want to try it. They know more than me, so I'm not going to question it, but there is still always that question of, okay, well, if you do have, say, that one tactic up your sleeve, because it must exist, there must be some way to make it work. When do you bring it out? When do you flash it?
Another thing about the old bar and stock was that you could never hold above. Cash room was impossible to hold as those kind of rumors.
Yep.
Now you can. It's so easy for teams to hold that cash room as much as they can. They have the vertical play, which was always the thing that attackers wanted from that old bar and stock room. So I still think that teams should have a go. Make a strategy, test it in scrims first before you try and whip out in a prem stage, but still at the same time, it's Clubhouse and all 4 bomb sites are available, but like I said, I don't expect either of these teams to really have the nuts to go for that.
No, but they are in the cash room and the server location as expected, sorry. And, well, this is a fairly standard looking setup. This is arguably the reason that the Mirror is banned away too, because she makes this site an incredibly tough attack. There are a couple of very important walls, though, that need to be opened here by Horizon's attack. One of them has currently got a bandit sitting right by it, waiting to try and juggle. The defense, once again, an identical set of operators for M&M. See whether Citizen can get away with a late roam this time. It should be a bit tougher for him because the attackers don't have to worry about quite so many angles. But regardless of that, I'd like to see them stay a little bit more active on their flank drones. They left a lot of them active previously, which is good. They're there and they should be doing a job keeping an eye on people. But no one was on them, so we just walked past them all without them gaining any information. No aim, pushes aggressively in through construction and picks up in Leo, who is running all over the shop because of the shots coming up through the floor underneath him. Very nice first pickup here for Horizon, getting the smoke off the table before he'd used any of his smoke charges.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty big kill off the board because it then does deny that plant exposure that you have so much on the defense. Sure, you still have Maestro and Echo who can fill that role as well. But then again, IQ and Sophia can make very quick work off those gadgets, especially IQ on the Echo Drone's biggest counter to the Echo is going to be the scanner. But at the moment, Ryazu downstairs trying to see if he can find any angles, that vertical game that we talk about so much that really Clubhouse does also provide. But at the moment, the players of M&M are holding strong, and I'm not entirely sure where Horizon want to go. They're kind of spread out. They could get picked off very easily in these 1v1s, and talking about one, Shattered will try and engage onto Prox. A Roman Maestro, that's a new one.
It is.
We'll see if he can make anything work with it, as Horizon, they've kind of slowed down. They're not entirely sure what they want to do. We're really going to have to see if Bayek can, once again, get those big kills that you really need from your Sophia. We've seen how good he can be, but can he perform it once more?
Pushing in aggressively, sees the Bandit will lose that firefight. He goes down. They were more aware of roamers this time. Baik and Shattered were looking for flanks before this push came, and that's where they're at now. But the grenade lands perfectly at Citizen's feet and will take down that Bandit, giving the attackers a 5 versus 3 advantage. They've managed to revive Sophia, or rather she withstood, gets herself back up. Frau will fall, Frau will take Sophia out, giving the first defense kill. Prox has tried to fight again from that roaming Maestro and is low health, but is back to his team now. But the attackers have gained control of one of the sides. Echo moves from one position, he pushes aggressively in and will take down No Aim, but will he be traded back? No, he won't. Prox and Turtle grab a kill each as well, and now Shattered is the lone attacker. So only got a pistol in hand, does get the Maestro down, one more to fight, it's the Jaeger, and he steps straight into him, but will fall.
That was, again, another very close call for M&M, coming down to, once again, another 1 versus 1. Horizon, I think that they just took too long on that final approach up into the bomb site. I'm surprised that they didn't have Thermite rotate over and get rid of construction wall. That was so free for them.
Yeah, I mentioned there are important walls that need to get opened on this map. That is one of them. That construction wall, that CCTV wall that opens to the outside of the map, to that big balcony which you can rappel on, you can hang on, you get so much control over that bomb site, you need to get it open. And okay, there was a bandit there, battery tricking, but you droned it, you saw where he moved to, you grenaded him out, you had plenty of plays, you had the window open too. There's plenty of opportunities to make a play and get that wall open. Yeah, it's harder when Maverick is banned, but it's possible. And they wasted so much time doing nothing, could have been doing that instead.
I'm still curious to see if we'll have any Montagna being picked up, because he has really been a big staple for Clubhouse, especially for some teams, particularly unnamed last week. It was played very proficiently by Madman against Secret. I'm curious to see if we're going to see potentially Horizon think, yeah, this isn't working. Do we need to pick a pretty big power operator? And that Montagna would certainly fill that role as that new kind of obstacle that the players of M&M would have to engage onto. M&M, they don't bring a Legion, which is one of the biggest counters to the shield. Really, Montagna is looking pretty tasty if Horizon sit back and look at it and think, yeah, they're not bringing really anything that causes issues for the Montagna. Sure, there's a smoke, but as Montagna, you hear it being cooked, you just walk back and then you walk forward again. Legion traps make it a lot more difficult for that final push in. But at the moment, M&M, they're holding strong. They have the intel being gathered from the Maestro cameras, primarily. Another big operator that did manage to squeeze his way past him. Still shocked that both Echo and Maestro were let through. That's always a bit of a shock for me.
We do, however, see our first change in operators for the defense. M&M bringing Frau now onto the castle instead of the Echo. This is because of where their site is and because of how important that hot tub wall is. They've got a castle barricade on that gym door. They need to stop players sitting on that window and shooting those batteries, shooting that bandit. They need to help hold that wall, which, again, is as important as the CCTV one is on the other side, on the cash room. But the question now becomes, do Horizon know this? And are they going to do anything about getting it open? No Aim is hovering around this window on the staircase because it is an option to go up and see it for him. He knows there's a player just inside, and he's holding the angle for him, but he doesn't quite see him get down and under that ridge. I don't know if his drone is still alive. I'd imagine it was instantly shot. Baik, though, picks up the first kill of the round. Now No Aim knows he's there and goes for the fight, but neither of them landing any significant damage. But once again, the smoke is off the board before he's used any of his charges. 2 minutes in the round still to go. And without a smoke, that's a huge win for the attackers. Let's see if they can capitalize on it.
This has been the second time in a row that we've seen Nello get picked off very early on without using any of that utility, and also the second time that we've seen Prox go for a walk with Maestro. At the moment, Horizon, they're looking to enter in for their first bit of kind of phase 1. Is that going to be controlling off the cash room? They have the Thermite to potentially open up a cash room wall, which should be the correct play because there's no way they're walking through a one-way death trap off a doorway. No Aim still has one logic bomb at his disposal. Sees a bit of a pixel of the castle, but just not landing the shots. It's unfortunately hitting the bit of the wood. He's trying his best, but yeah. You okay? You okay, No Aim? I can see why his name's No Aim.
Hitting, to be fair. I've got to give him that one. It might have just bounced off the tassels on his uniform or something, but it looked damn close. As the push begins to come in from the other side now. Still haven't got any of these walls open. The Thermite, actually, he's used one charge, but I didn't see where it went. He is still now running back now to the other side, looking for his team. There is a little bit of health missing from a couple of extra players, but nothing significant. The phones are ringing. Citizen actually going to use it to push aggressively as they go back out through the window. Does not look like Horizon know where they want to push right now. They put a lot of effort towards and a lot of utility towards taking control of construction, but now they're suddenly leaping back the other way, and No Aim is still trying to take this angle and trying to pick up that kill. There's the bandit peek, though. No Aim wasn't ready for that one. Citizen picking it off. Great win for the defense, but Baik immediately turns back, taking down Turtle. Turtle, of course, clutching out that last round, now off the board. 20 seconds to go, and he's going to have to speed up. Frau goes down to Baik again. Zofia stepping up once more for his team. Multiple rounds now where he has been the key player, but Prox is roaming again as Maestro. Citizen goes for a wall bang, but he's taken out from behind as Shattered manages to jump back in through the CCTV window, meaning Prox is alone, coming up the stairs straight into Buster's crosshair. He will get tagged and not killed, but now they know exactly where he is. Comes the other way, actually gets the kill on Baik, but Ryazu will trade him straight back in the back.
I don't know where Horizon would be if they didn't have Baik. He has put on quite the show for us at the moment. This is only his second time playing inside of the Premiership. He played last week against Wind and Rain for his debut, and once again, just like that, he performed so big. So this has certainly been a massive boost in power that the players of Horizon really needed. So a great bit of roster changes, 6 kills for him at the moment. So M&M, they do lose their first round.
I want to give a quick bit of credit to Baik again on the first round. Yes, they lost it in the basement, but he was the sole reason they got as close as they did to winning that round. Because of him dropping through the bar hatch and M&M taking their attention away from that, he managed to get control of Church and shoot that Jaeger in the back and helped open up the site. The rest of the site was locked down and it was secure, but for some reason, the Jaeger and Church turned away from that drop and tried to help out the rest of his team that didn't need it. That gave Baik an opening and he really capitalized on it, and that helped crack the site open and get them the plant down. Unfortunately, the rest of it did fall down and didn't go their way in the end, but if that kill hadn't happened, if he'd have been taken out, that plant wouldn't have gone through. And then, as you see there, 6 kills now. That round was largely based on him as well. A lot of those important kill pickups. As you said, he has been a huge pickup for their team and is doing work.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
I would still say that Horizon's attacks have not looked strong at all. They have wasted a lot of time just sitting there doing nothing whatsoever. They seem to be very scared at actually trying to challenge some of these players. At the moment, you wouldn't really want to try and challenge Citizen in the position he's been playing as that very aggressive bandit who has that great SMG, can really melt you in a matter of milliseconds. But they still have to go through, once again, this bottom floor defense. And last time it was very, very close. And we do see the glass for the first time being brought on the side by Horizon. So they're going to go for, like I talked about Montagna, another big power pick at the glass can really completely change around if he gets 2 kills off his smoke canisters. But really, once you don't use his utility the way that you should, and you waste his smoke grenades, and you don't get any kills from that, he's pretty much just a guy with a sniper rifle with no cover under his smoke. So they really need to think about how they're going to play this out. They have plenty of utility. They have another set of smoke grenades with the Dokkaebi, who is still going to be brought. They haven't really used the Dokkaebi calls to the best of their ability either. Sure, they've rung it, but there's been nobody there to follow up on the aggression, which is the main reason why you bring the Dokkaebi.
Yeah, they were using them to simply locate players, which, okay, it's not a waste, but it could be more. You could also pressure when you use them. They're just using it to listen it out, hear for them, even when they're just droning, just find out where someone is, and then they just leave a drone watching the corner to make sure someone stayed there. You could do more with it. I want to see where they put this. Oh, Citizen kicks us off, already taking out the Dokkaebi, so no calls happening this time around. The aggressive roam kicking off early as opposed to the late roam that they did previously. I was about to say I want to see where they put this glass, because their previous attack of this basement didn't have a clear path where you would put his strength and power, but the construction tunnel is where I want to see it. And this time they've cracked it open to send him in that way. So we'll see whether or not he can make his way through there. There were 2 players playing in it on the defense first time around for M&M. They had Maestro and Echo sat in there to begin with, but obviously a camera up one end to watch for them. This time they're playing a little bit more mobile, but they do have eyes on this glass and are ready to watch for it.
Already, the first couple of gas canisters will be deployed not just by Glass, but also by the smoke. And Ryazu just walking straight in through the toxic fumes, and he dies from that. You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. He just did that. No way.
I can only imagine he presumed it was his own smoke. Well, nice shot from Prox on that tight angle, but I can only imagine he presumed it was his own smoke and just didn't look at his health or something. And no words for what that is. Citizen continues his dominant force here as that roaming bandit, and Shattered will fall, leaving just the Buster on his own with no thermite charges left, and the Diffuser to try and push in. Maestro is up and aggressive and will be the first one to fall because of it. He's going to go forward and look for a long angle, but the smoke has already come back to lock off the push, forces him around towards the church side. As he heads on his way through now, he looks for the rotate, no one on there. Actually got a lot of movement to get into here on Church, and remember he has the Diffuser. Now, I'd be surprised if they let him put it down, but he's moving around into blue. He's checking every corner he can, but it's now been spotted. There's Frau in the back corner on the Echo. Will miss those shots, but now he's being flanked himself as well. Is he ready for it? He was. He trades, actually gets the kill on Citizen, who was coming behind, but Nello was there on his flank to finish him off.
Yeah, still M&M holding their ground. A lot more of a stronger round from M&M. It wasn't as close as what the other ones have been, but still, Ryazu, you are playing class. You are a massive threat to the side of M&M, and for you to just walk through a toxic fume, I know that you said, oh, maybe he didn't think it was. He heard that also being cooked. He heard it being thrown, and it's a very distinct sound whenever you hear the smoke pull off his gadget. I think that he was potentially going for the kind of risk where he thinks he's to the hard right inside of tunnel, but at that stage, Nello just seen the smoke grenade, tossed one back, and just ran away. And Ryazu just wasn't quick enough. He didn't snap on to think that guy might have just ran away.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like, I saw the logic. I wanted to give him benefit of the doubt, and that, you know, maybe he wasn't realizing the damage, but yeah, the idea was there, right? Okay, well, he's thrown a smoke, he's going to now hold behind it, so I'll push through it and surprise him, because he won't expect me to do this, but there's a point where you realize, he's no longer still here, and he didn't come to that realization fast enough. He didn't pull out and realize that, yeah, this is not working. But as it is, the final round of this half, Lou throws M&M back up to the top floor of cash from CCTV. Let's see whether or not Horizon can get through that all-important wall this time over. Batteries are, of course, already down again. The attackers, once more, not bringing anything to take them down from the outside. No kind of Thatcher blade. They've got Glaz in the mix again. But from, again, the way they attacked this previously, I don't see how they plan to use it. They used all of their utility previously from below, just making holes underneath, making them run around upstairs and hoping someone would walk into them. They got a bit lucky with no aim aggressively on Dokubi actually pushing through construction and getting someone inside the bomb sites who was not expecting his presence. But that's not a mistake M&M are going to make twice in a row. And now no aim's on Ying as well, so I suggest maybe they are going to go for speed with him, or at least just go for, as you say, that smoke flash hardcore aggression tactic with a Glaz behind this one.
Yeah, I love the way that just over time the attacks have progressed from very standard operators that you can get a very good push going on to just pull out Ying and Glaz to try and just force your way in. And sure, it's a viable tactic. She's not banned. Use the power that she brings. But at the moment, they're just going to be setting up, not even going towards that double wall over the balcony. I think they're just going to try and use these Yings, these flashbangs, get rid of the ADSs, and then the frag grenade gets thrown in by Shatter. Does it land anything? No. Misses. His Citizen dancing around, just playing in the palm of his hand.
It should have. No, it didn't hit the batteries. I was going to say, it should have hit the batteries, though, but that's what he missed. Now the drone's going to go in to confirm. Buster's drone in the hole does spot Prox, but didn't see Citizen. Now it does, but will get shot for it. He gets the information he's after. They know the batteries are still on the wall. They've got one more grenade in the hand of Shattered. No, they don't actually. They used both of those. Didn't see the second one go off, but it also didn't get its job done, and that's rough. Maybe all she wrote for Horizon's attack. They threw everything already in through that one window. They've now got to try and muscle their way in the other side with very little remaining utility, and they're telegraphing that fact thanks to these big, loud shotgun blasts pre-fire here, with the fact that they're sat on top of the Maestro camera as well. Smoke grenades are already going out to block out this entryway, and well, that's one of three that can block an entire minute and a half of the round, and there's only a minute left to go. They do have one thermite charge to crack this wall on open, and there's a couple of players sitting right behind it. Are watching just in case it gets destroyed by Maestro, but it will not. So the wall is open. They do have a way into the A site, but it's still very much funneled through the same direction.
They have had to basically just force their way in through that A bomb site, but at this stage it's so easy, not just for Maestro and Smoke to hold it, but really anybody who holds an angle just inside of the B bomb site. Buster has to go for the plant under the cover of the smoke, but those toxic babes and the Maestro camera will start to tag him up as Prox does finish off Bayek. Another kill for the side of M&M as Nello with a shotgun swings on around, and just everybody from Horizon are starting to fall. Ryazu gets one back for himself, but then Citizen cleans up with a double kill, and even in the midst of all of that destruction, the diffuser somehow got planted, but it was all for naught as M&M, they take the final remaining defense round for themselves, and then they now move on to the attack.
M&M went for the smart play, right? You know the plant's going down, but you can't see who it is. You throw a smoke somewhere nearby, and it did do a bit of damage to the thermite, but you don't worry about them trying to blindly kill him in the smoke. You push the other 4 players, because you know you're 5v4 right now. There's one person who is occupied with the plant. You go for the rest of them, and they did start to get a lot of kills back and forth. Yes, the plant then finished, and they started to stabilize, but then they were 5v3. They lost a couple of other players and went back, but then they're in a 4v2 situation when they finally got that first kill onto Glaz, and at that point, Citizen was also just free roam to sprint outside and flank both of those 2 remaining players and cut Horizon to pieces. It was a nice idea for them to, you know, go for that smoke cover plant because, as I said, they'd used up all their utility trying to go elsewhere. The best of a bad situation is what I think they tried to make of it, but M&M just played it perfectly on the retake.
Definitely over towards that construction. It's a lot more easier for the defenders to have all that control. You can sit in these very nice, tight, narrow angles. You can even, if you open up that garage double wall, you can have a line of sight from the staircase over towards Catwalk, straight in through towards that plant spot. It's a very nice angle you can really hold, and that's why then teams like to shift to try and take control of that B bomb site and take control of Catwalk. That makes things a lot easier, but like you said, just the utility was not used properly. They missed both of their frag grenades, and I don't know how you managed to do that. And then they just kind of go for a panic play, doesn't work, and just like that, they fall one by one. But they will be on the defense. We'll see how they can cope with this. They have been a better team on the defense, so this is going to be pretty rough for them because equally M&M have been very strong on the attack as well, if not stronger than on the defense, because the fact that they have the Glaz. As I said at the beginning of the game, Glaz is going to be a 100% pick rate for M&M inside this matchup, and already being brought to the table, and this is what we've seen from M&M a lot more commonly used, is going to be pushing towards Catwalk, open up the B wall, and go for the safest plant under the cover of smoke grenades.
Yep, and they've got those secondary ones coming from Cafe Tower as well to also assist. They are spotting out the Maestro camera at the top of the staircase and dropping their flank charges down. They'll take that Maestro camera out with one of Citizen's charges, but they also have this back angle here that Turtle will use. They, as you said, have brought both Thermite and Air Banner, so they've got plenty of ways to breach this wall. And they have sent both players around there for now to do so. They, with the Legion, could be a key player here. We were talking about how big he's been on their attack rounds, the ones that they won or the advantages they gained. Legion now is another big operator for the end of the game. Looking down through the hole, no aim, does spot the Ash, but will take more damage than he dealt. Look for her again, finds her on her way out the door. That was a hole he made, so she wasn't aware of that one. And he does make him pay for it. Citizen will fall, and the defense do get a bit of a respite with a man advantage now. Shattered, though, taking the long-range fight through the garage door, regrets it slightly. Glaz comes inside, though, and will find him straight through the gaps and the smoke grenade. And even though there's firebolts there to burn out one end of the catwalk, Horizon are confident, not Horizon, M&M are confident that it's clear. We'll reset, we'll back up, drone the next step, and then we'll send their Glaz in for another kill.
Yeah, 1-for-1 trade, bit of utility used by M&M. They've already used one of the smoke canisters, but they still have the capo alive, so you can certainly use those asphyxiating bolts that don't even have to worry about the ADSs as well. But their next stage is going to be getting rid of that B, but no aim does deny Nello that access with that very long angle, gets tagged up quite a bit himself and does get the reset handed to him. So this is a minute to go for M&M. They haven't opened up the wall. Ryazu is still alive in a very aggressive position to shut down anybody trying to jump in through the catwalk. This is going to be some pretty quick plays from M&M if they want to make this run work.
Yeah, they haven't even taken out the trophy systems or the default camera here in the garage. Thermocharge, though, does go off on the wall. They managed to take out the batteries, and there was no one there to stop it, so the wall has been opened up. It is 38 seconds to go, but this is a good position here for M&M. question is, can the retake come on in? Glaz is starting to open up a couple more angles. They've pinned a lot of the defenders into the opposite site. They can see through these tiny little angles now using the Glaz, but the fire is already coming in. Flash grenades pushing deep. Turtles now starting to flank. More smokes and more burning going to come out towards the A side to keep the defenders in there while the plant goes down, but the Maestro camera is out. Ryazu's C4 takes down Frau and drops the diffuser. 10 seconds to go now, and the aggression starts to come out from the defense. Baik and Ryazu grab another kill each. Round the back is Turtle, but Baik pushes in for him and picks up his third of the round to secure it for Horizon.
Yeah, it was a very quick cleanup from Horizon, and just the fact that they denied that catwalk for so long, it really surprises me. Once you clear that catwalk, it should be easy pickings for M&M. They walk over, they get rid of the bandit charges, the wall gets blown open, but no, that very long angle being played by Noam was the big factor in that. He managed to down the Glaz, wasted even more time for Horizon, and even just Noam getting that very early kill onto Citizen, who has been one of those main impact players who really opens things up, gets those kills kind of in and around that mid game, kind of the early game as well. If that went a different way and Citizen was alive, who could have then put some more pressure from below, stop Noam holding those angles in, that could have went a different round. But just the way that that very sneaky hole being made by the Maestro did manage to catch Citizen by surprise. And, well, we do see Horizon bounce back with their first defensive win. And can they carry on this momentum, as they will have the Church and Arsenal room up next?
Yeah, as you say, there was a bit of a hesitation, I think, on the attack round from M&M after they got control of that catwalk. They should have got up there and started pressuring the site quicker. But once they did have all the players locked inside B, what would have been great, as you say, would have been Citizen from below. Maybe not on the Ash, because he's a bit aggressive with that dive, but if you put him on a buck, he doesn't actually have to be able to shoot with the gun very well. He doesn't actually have to stay underneath the block. Just make the floor plasterboard and just decimate it.
For a couple of frags.
Yeah, there's nowhere in there for the left to stand. They cannot be safe inside that B site. And then you've got full control again. So yeah, maybe losing your Glaz does suck, but you already had the job of pinning them back. And you've got the floor destroyed, so there's nowhere safe for them to sit. And that could have still gone M&M's way. So ultimately, a good round for Horizon, but not flawless and not unbeatable should M&M have to do it again in a moment.
Now this is the difference between M&M and Horizon, is that M&M, they've realized, oh yeah, Habana's pretty good for this map, and this should be a lot more easier for M&M to find a push. Horizon attacked this bomb site twice and they lost it twice, so that kind of has to tell you something where a team doesn't bring Habana for her arguably greatest bomb site in the entire game. I'm sure this will play a lot more differently as M&M. They have more of that hard breach destruction. The church wall push could potentially be an option for them as well, which, you know, it's going back a long time ago back in Season 1, but has seen a bit more of an uprise currently just with the way the meta has planned out. I'm more expecting just for these guys to open up the hatches, get a bit more destructibility in, especially where Nello is. If you try and eliminate whoever's going to be inside of that B-bomb site, then that kind of opens up your kitchen push, which is, it's very simple for teams to basically walk in, take from the kitchen, and go for the plant, just like we've seen Horizon do for their attacks.
So they've cleared the upper floors. They're happy with what they've found, but they found a bandit waiting at the bottom of the stairs. Citizen was right behind that drone, though. Will hit the Legion mine afterwards, but the kill's done. And bandit's off the table. Ryazu, who had a big part to play in the defense of the last round with his C4 and his quick kill to follow up, did a big job, but no longer in play this time. Minute 35 to go. Decent amount of time here for the attackers to continue to pressure the basement. Interesting to see Shattered inside that blue room. It's not a commonly played spot anymore since the changes to the map, as it is very easy for the attackers to get control of it, but as the majority of the attackers seem to be coming from the other end through this main staircase and through the bar, might be an important position here. They do have one drone coming around the back. Nello on his own, though, could really crack this open, and so it's going to be important for Shattered to try and keep him out. There's Legion mines going off all over. Prox hits one as well. His first wall's pre-batteried, of course, so even though Bandit's dead, not the end of the world. Will even take a little bit of damage from them because he tries to take out that barbed wire, but is cautious of the other side.
This is the lack of the Thatcher coming in to really hurt M&M. This would have been an easy church wall push if they decided to bring that Thatcher. You could have had Prox or potentially Freya open up just even a hole. You know, Habana hole would be great just to try and shut down anybody playing inside of church. And with 30 seconds to go, this is kind of where we start running into the bloodbath that really Clubhouse does bring. So the drones do come in. This will be the final phase for M&M just to try and figure out these final remaining defenders may be located. No Aim gets things started up, and Nello, he will start using that utility that Sophia has. And Shattered, is he going to be ready for this aggression? But no, Sophia not even going to follow up with the push. No Aim, another kill for him. But then we see the quick peek around from Shattered, who wins that gunfight against Sophia. 2 versus 4 into a 1 versus 3 as Turtle will be by himself. Shattered sees the capo. No Aim just holding strong. Turtle, you're going the wrong way. Pistol comes out. This is just, whoa, Shattered comes in with a knife. What a final round was that? It was just back and forth constantly. Shattered just says, you know what? Pistols aren't working. Let's just try and stab him.
Turtle going to be a little bit upset. Tries to fight with the down smoke. Obviously not aware. Nello's push was nicely held there by Horizon on defense. Yes, the concussions went off and stopped that Jaeger from peeking, but smoke was there in time, and yes, he peeked out and didn't initially get the kill and held Nello off, but it was long enough for the concussion to wear off, which means then when Nello did think he'd got the kill on smoke, automatically he had downed him. When he was ready with that confidence, Jaeger was back in play and was able to hold him off, and that did mean they held that blue side and were ready to focus back the other way. The other way had lost a couple of players, weren't at their full strength, but because that backside Jaeger was still alive, he was able to turn and take the fight to Turtle. Thankfully, Turtle didn't know the smoke was down and couldn't give Jaeger his full attention. And unfortunately for Jaeger, he missed a lot of his pistol shots. Shattered not landing as many of those he's needed, but thanks to the split attention of Capital, the knife was able to come out.
So we will see a gym and bedroom, the first one for the players of Horizon. Still no barn stock. Again, I hope that teams have listened to what we've talked about and really think about, consider at least trying it. I would still like to see one before the end of the season comes around. But at the moment, Horizon, they still are looking pretty strong, just the way that they won those past 2 rounds. Now they have gym and bedroom, which is still another good bomb site. You could still do a lot of damage, but it still comes down to really how well you hold that cash room side. And I'm liking the way that Horizon have set themselves up. They've brought the castle barricade to try and sanction off some of those angles. It's been primarily over towards the windows that they've kind of opted for, but interestingly as well, no bandit to go for the bandit trick on that jacuzzi wall. That's a bit of a worry, because they've even put the shield down, but they don't have a bandit.
I mean, it might give off the impression to M&M that they do, or that they're willing to hold it some other way, but it is strange, you're right. And as I say, it's kind of clear that Horizon don't really prioritize that wall.
That's what they've done.
Going to play there instead. But it's kind of clear that Horizon don't really prioritize that wall, because when they were attacking, they ignored it as well. They didn't want to open it. They didn't care for playing that location, but now they're going to suffer for that, as the wall does get opened right up. And now they are in a bad spot, because 1, that's open and that's a huge play. 2, their own rotates and things and their own counterplay to it is cut down by their own castle barricades, which normally when that wall gets opened up and for play for that, the attacking team would have to open them for you. So then you get it back later in the round just to get that wall open. But they've had it open now for free. There's nothing to stop them. So now all those things remain closed and the retakes is not there. Citizen triple steps on up and picks a 3K out of nowhere. No one from Horizon was watching that direction. Now he's coming back on through. He picked up his 4th. Shattered's got the 1 in return. Frau down, leaving Citizen now looking for Shattered for his 5th and final. They now know exactly where he is. He's holding the angle. Shattered has to come back to his site. He knows the rest of the team's there. Here he comes, steps into the crosshair, gets tagged, but he's not down. Citizen can feel it. He can taste it. He knows it's coming his way. Around the corner he comes. There it is. Citizen with an ace. 4 headshots in amongst it as well. What a round from that man.
Wow, Citizen, another big play for him. Ever since he joined this M&M roster, he has been an absolute rock of a player. He has shown up on so many occasions against also some of the big teams as well. It's not just, he's doing it against some of the weaker sides. He's done this. He's played against Guidance. He's played against Unnamed. He's played against Secret. And he has always held his own against Stand, leading the pack. 12 kills from him. Sets M&M up with at least a point from this matchup, but I'm kind of expecting this to go for the full 3 points as M&M just after that very quick round. They're poised and ready to take this CCTV room and cash room.
12 kills makes it sound like he's doing a huge thing. Don't get me wrong, he's doing great and he's helping his team, but you take that last ace away, he's only on 7. Next guy is 6 kills behind him. M&M have all been stepping up and are all doing very well in this game. But yeah, that last round, of course, propels him above and beyond. And now we got to look at Horizon. Now we got to think about their headspace, right? Something that weaker teams and less experienced teams tend to fall prey to is getting a bit tilted, getting a bit knocked off course. Not necessarily angry, not necessarily upset, but when you get aced like that, when you lose that hard in a round that now has put you out of range of the win, it's a tough thing to get back up from. But if you could do it, there is still a point here to play for. You can still get these next 2 rounds and take something away from this matchup. If they can shake off and forget about that previous set. They are going back up to the catch room, the CCTV room. They did do okay and did well, in fact, to hold this on their opening round and their opening defense. Can they do it again?
Attackers recover the diffuser.
Still plenty of denial action from Horizon. They have the smoke, they have the Maestro, no echo. Instead, they have opted for the Legion to try and hold that catwalk area a lot more. And really, we've seen a couple of the goo mines really come into big effect, especially if you have somebody playing very aggressive, trying to push in towards the catwalk. A goo mine can stop you right in your tracks. It kind of gives you that panic factor where you're stuck in the middle of a staircase where you cannot sprint away. Yeah, it kind of shakes you up just that little bit more as an attacker. And M&M, they've actually surprisingly dropped the Glaz. They thought that Glaz didn't really do a whole lot on this last attack, and instead they have decided to switch it up. They still have those asphyxiating bolts from Kappa, which does make a lot more sense with trying to take control of this catwalk. And already, Shattered's going to be feeling the flame from M&M, and he does just that, gets downed. Not out, however, can still potentially be picked up, but I really highly doubt it. There you go, Freo. He manages to snag the kill, and another kill as well, this time on the side of Horizon as Bike. He wins against Citizen, a massive player off the board for M&M, but at the same time, they've took control of Catwalk, and they can really start working on the final remaining anchors.
Here's the thing though, they took control of Catwalk last time and they still couldn't quite get in to do the job on the site. Also lost Citizen early that last round as well. He's their pressure from the other side, he's their pressure on the flank, that's now gone. Now that all of M&M's attack is going to be coming from this same direction, yes, they've got the wall open, which helps them a little bit more this time, but is it going to be enough? Everyone from Horizon can look this way, can focus this way. The C4 to stop the plant was a big impact to the last defense of this. That can happen again, even with the wall open. They've got more time to do it this time with a minute 15. The smoke is still standing this time as well, though. So will Horizon's defense hold? Baik on the Legion is an odd one to roam, as you mentioned, because of how strong he can be by staying in the game for a while, but he's now back up and is putting out these traps into the perfect spot to hold that open wall. No Aim has got his cameras in place and they're providing so much information to the defense, but Ryazu is still waiting for his opportunity to show up. In comes Frau now with the diffuser in hand. He sits in the spot, looks for the plant. Ryazu will take down the kill on Prox. They have the plant for the... There's the ping for the plant and down it goes.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
That was so big of a C4 as Nell will try and retain control of the bomb site. His defuse will try and be established by Turtle, but he will get tagged up. But no, Nello will save his teammate's life, but the double Maestro camera comes into such big play. Nello will still be lit up from below. Ryazu trying his best to find his third. No Aim will swing around. This should be an easy kill for him, and it will be just that as Nello falls and Horizon, they stick strong. And we will be going to all 10 rounds inside of this matchup between M&M and Horizon. They managed to pull off the hold. They stand their ground, and really if it wasn't for Ryazu there with the C4 from below, that could have went a whole lot differently.
Bigger than that, if it wasn't for Baik winning that fight with Citizen, that C4 would never have happened. They couldn't put a player down there. They couldn't leave him down there and wait for that if they had Citizens to deal with, if they knew there was a man floating around. But they knew he would be playing for that. They knew he'd want to do that. And they knew what kind of player he is. They knew he'd be in early, that he'd be in fast. Baik went down there to fight him, and he won that fight. And that opens up the whole ground floor. And then M&M could have, but didn't, put anyone else down there to fill that role instead. And that allows Ryazu, as you say, to do what he wants and to C4 from below and to pick up these extra kills and to stab them in the back. And it's great to see Horizon keeping, as I said, level-headed and steady. They knew they could win that defense. They just knew how to do it, take out Citizen, and then hold, because you know how the attack's going to form, you know where it's going to come from, and you know how you're set up to deal with it. And it's a good setup. And they used it again to perfection. And now they are one round away from taking a point out of this.
So it will be the final round, and it will be all decided on the church room at
Attackers need to
Arsenal.
locate and defuse as
Last
many
time
bombs
Horizon, they did manage to hold their ground pretty strong on this bomb site. I would say that M&M were a little bit shaky in where they kind of wanted to push from. They didn't really want to go for that final call where everybody pushes and collapses onto the site at one time. It was just they ran in one by one and just got picked off one by one. But we have seen M&M in the past. They've bounced back from these very silly mistakes that they've made, and then they've managed to rectify those said mistakes. And M&M, they've opted for the Montagna this time. This is an operator that I've said is very strong on this particular map. We'll see if Nello can do any damage. He has played Montagna in the past, and that's going to just provide another, not just necessarily a big massive wall, but another source of intel, which they've kind of been lacking.
I imagine he's going to use it the same way he tried to use the glass, right? But this is a much safer, less risky way to do it. He doesn't have to worry about getting the kills. He doesn't have to care about being shot back. He can just stroll his way down the construction tunnel, take control of it, and command control of it. Oh.
This is an old one.
This is an old squad. I was going to talk about how M&M's picks were a bit of an old meta thing.
I haven't seen this in Season 1.
No.
This is a strategy that is very old, but
Frav did it on his own.
He's missed. He didn't put the deployable shield in the correct place.
No, he didn't quite land in the right spot, and so he does get taken down, and the wall gets opened up, and now Nello's Montagna will continue his slow walk down that tunnel. Now up to Maestro and Smoke to keep him away from there, but that's a very, very tough job, especially for a team with a player disadvantage. I like the idea from Horizon. You know how important it is to hold that tunnel. You know exactly that M&M are going to push through it with, it was a glass previously, but now you know it's going to be a Montagna. But a little bit too greedy for that bandit and throws his life away in the process.
I have to commend them for at least trying it. It's a very old strategy which could have worked. Who's to say that M&M would have just went and slapped it down? That would have been a momentous task for the bandit to actually pull that off. Like you said, Nello just standing there, and Citizen, he will get the call out from the Montagna, knows that he's going to be rotating back and uses those holes in the floor that he made himself. Doesn't even need the buck. The Ass Launcher will just do enough.
So there's the teamwork they wanted to do, right? No aim here on a camera, shooting the Maestro in the back with a smoke grenade in the front to keep him in spot. But Smoke gave up too much of the tunnel. The Maestro now has no view of that Montagna. Maestro needed the smokes to keep him deeper up so he could actually do things to it. He's trying to tag him up from a distance, but it's not enough, and everyone's been picked off from above as Prox gets another kill. Baik now is down with even No Aim is Shattered alone. They do pick up one, No Aim gets Citizen down, but now as they're trying to retake the site, Shattered will get Prox. The plant is going down, but it is 3v2 again, and Montagna's not got much health. They could pull this off. Nello hiding in the corner to give information. They know there's one man upstairs. There's the top of his head. No Aim gets it. For a man with no aim in his name, he's not showing me that right now, but he will step straight into Frow's Brief Fire, and he will fall. Now Shattered is alone. Slightly mistimed, I think, on that peak there from No Aim because he is so low, and ooh, does catch that Claymore in the right moment. And now they've heard him above. He needs to look through his hole in the floor, sees the Montagna, but he needs to worry about the Thermite. He's the one with the gun in his hand. You can hear the shots rattling through underneath it. He's going to drop looking for him, but it's straight into Frow's crosshairs. M&M, right on the cusp of that round, do manage to clutch it back out and get the 3 points. But Horizon, or No Aim specifically, is looking really good for a minute there to cause an upset.
I thought the clutch was on. That should have been an easy pre-fire for the Aldo. You have so many rounds in that LMG that you know you've seen the Thermite lying in the corner. That should be the freest kill of your life. Didn't go that way, unfortunately, for Horizon. But nonetheless, M&M, they take another victory for themselves. They're still unbeaten inside of the league. And well, Horizon, they give it their best shot. And I'm still impressed with really how Horizon have stepped up their game in these past 2 weeks, and that's down to basically No Aim and Baik being brought to the roster.
I say No Aim there at the end, it was just a little bit of a, perhaps inexperience, being a new player coming in, just a little bit of getting caught up in the momentum. He picked up a lot of those kills. They were great kills, they were huge. He saw the Thermite. I can know where he is. I can pre-fire him, I can peek this. Didn't need to. All he had to do was wait until Jaeger got up to the hatch above him, and they could have peeked those together. You knew you were 2v2. You know Montaigne's just standing in the corner of the shield, and you'd seen where the Thermite was. Just sit and wait for the Jaeger to be in position, but he went a little bit too early, and unfortunately paid the price for it. But as I said, those are the mistakes you don't make only playing for a longer time. Those are the mistakes that you get as a newbie. And
that shouldn't be a mistake you make.
That shouldn't be a mistake you make at any level, to be fair. But it did go down. This is the situation with Turtle again here in blue. Shattered, used up a lot of damage over there. You see Turtle was just too focused on this down player. He didn't realize that he was a down player, and it allowed Shattered to get off that knife.
So really, where does this kind of leave us for M&M? They're now really challenging for their second spot. I believe they are in second spot at the moment, but Vex still have to play tonight. Horizon, they're still sitting in 6 as well, but then Barrage still have to play tonight. So we don't really get a good aspect of where it leaves both these teams, but I'm sure that both of them are happy. Horizon should certainly be happy. This provides so much momentum for their massive game next week against Barrage. And for M&M, well, a couple of mistakes that they still have to work on, but it's not been a bad performance by any shot.
No, there's like learning points for both teams in those games. There's definite things to be improved for either, but there's also things to be very proud of. As I say, Horizon's defense of their cash room was very impressive.
Yeah.
They knew exactly how to read what M&M were going to do, despite that CCTV wall getting opened, which is such a huge deal for so many teams. They knew they had to hold that downstairs. They knew who their strongest players were to do it too. Sending Baik down there to win that fight with Citizen, but then pulling him back up because he's the Legion and needs to be up top, and sending the C4 and the Bandit downstairs. Knowing that Bandit alone, Baz couldn't take their fight, and knowing that they needed the 4 players upstairs before Citizen was dead to continue it, put your stronger gunfight down there, which Baik proved through other rounds as well that he is a fantastic fighter. He won that fight, then went back to his position and gave up the role for Bandit, who did what he needed to be done with that C4.
Yeah, Baik certainly a person to really look at, and we'll see if he can carry on that momentum within next week. But Citizen, you know, you have to give it to him as well. Really has been, I would say, up there with one of the top 3 players we've had this season, which is a bit of a long shot whenever we have, you know, Team Secret playing, you have Kendrew from the Challenger League Pact, and then, you know, you also have players there like Pengu, like Feral, who've been about for quite some time. So you really have to give credit to the individual performances of these matches, because we did have a lot of them.
Yes, we did. Now, don't forget, of course, for all the latest information and updates on ESL Prem, there is one-stop shop for you to head on over to. It is esl.im/r6winter to get all your insider tips and hints and information on what's to come. And as Demo said, we are approaching the end of this season, so the standings are starting to get solidified. We've got this week and next to go before we then hit the playoffs and start approaching the LAN finals. So if you do need to catch up on those first few weeks, that's the place to go. Any other final thoughts on that game, Demo? Or are you time to look forward to the next one?
I'm looking forward to the next one, because we have, again, Wind and Rain, and this is the team which really needs to pull himself out of the hole.
Yeah, so we're going to run to a short break, and when we come back, we'll find out whether Wind and Rain can pull himself out of that hole. And of course, I'll grill Demo on what he thinks they need to do to make that happen.
Box. Stairs.
Nothing great ever happened without a witness.
Oh, you guys saw that?
With the power to capture comes the need to share.
Check this.
Followed by the eyeballs and loud mouths chomping at the bit.
That was nuts.
The fate of the game rests in your hands.
Check this out. No.
Oh my God.
Leave nothing to chance. Game, record, and stream without compromise. Only on Intel Core i7.
Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen. We have had our first game of the night locked in the bag. Eminent Gaming went home with 3 points from that, but it was no easy feat. 6-4 as they were pulled right to the final round by Horizon, who fought for their dear lives. But that game is done. We are moving past it, and it's time for our next one of the night. Wind and Rain versus Barrage. Demo, talk to me about these two teams. Explain to us why Wind and Rain have struggled so hard so far.
Wind and Rain have, I don't believe, have won a single attacking round in the entirety of this season, which is, I think, never happened before. That is certainly something
Especially
that
in a game like Siege, that's an achievement in its own right.
They really need to look at it and sit down and say, why are things not working? Things have went very bad for them, but equally, attacks have not been Barrage's strong point either, so we may see these two sides which are not very strong at attack. This could be their chance to shine against some of these defense. Looking at it on paper, you still can't expect Barrage because they have managed to take some points. So they really need to, Wind and Rain especially, really need to at least get some points on the board because they haven't managed to do this at all this season. I think the max that they've gotten has been 3 points, and that was against Team Secret, to be fair, but that was, again, primarily on their defense. As soon as attack switches, they just cannot win. It's something that you guys, again, will see as soon as Wind and Rain go onto the attacks, they just crumble, they fall apart.
So we want to see them start on defense, in their mind. And is there a particular map which you feel would favor that that better for them? Is a map which their defense is that solid and impeccable they can get all 5 defense rounds on?
I would say Coastline, because Coastline is the only map inside of the current meta that actually has more of a percent win rate as attacker-sided compared to defense. They played Coastline last week, and they could not attack.
Well, let's have a look and see what the picks and bans were, see where they end up on Coastline. They have not. Talk to me then a little bit about Barrage here before we dive too deep into the map. What is it about Barrage's attacks that just have them that little bit above Wind and Rain's attacks? Because you say they're both not great at it, but if Barrage are that bit better, why?
Barrages have more of that aggressive nature that you really need from the attackers. Wind and Rain don't have that. They play very slow. They don't really want to take the gunfights. Barrage of players there like Randy who will just straight up take the fight as a buck, create himself these massive openings with the skeleton key and just go for the all-out aggression. And especially on up like Border, where Buck really excels. Yeah, this is something that we've seen a lot from Barrage, is their Border play, where they've had Randy play really aggressive with the Buck, really trying to open up a lot of these different angles. But then again, they played Border last week, and it was arguably one of the worst attacks I've ever seen inside of Siege.
Okay, well, let's hope that they fix that over the course of the week. Going into Border then and going back to the defensive side of things. Wind and Rain's defense, you say it's where their crutch is, it's how they get their rounds, if they get any rounds. How good is their Border defense? Do they have it on lock? Because there's a lot of different ways recently where you've seen teams defend Border, a lot of different strategies, especially with the likes of now Clash coming in as well, and you've got the Maestros and the Echoes, which are big for area denial. But you're also starting to see teams banning away hard breaches, which makes it very, very hard to attack. Do we think Wind and Rain may ban away something like a Thermite and make it easier on their already stronger defenses?
I don't expect either of these teams will do that because they're very slow and methodical in the way that they like to plan out their attacks, where they want to drone, and then they finally come in for that final push. Wind and Rain, they have not had too much of a great run track on Border, and they really haven't played Border too much compared to other maps they've played. A very good range of maps currently this season, so maybe they've worked on things, they've looked at it, they said, yeah, okay, we're feeling happy with the Border, we don't mind playing Barrage, we've seen how they played last week, they may have done a little bit of counter-striking, and really, even though it may be, these bottom two teams fighting against each other, this is all for nothing for these guys to actually make it in and work their way in for a potential playoff spot.
So we're just waiting for one player with slight technical difficulties to get in, and then we'll be good to go. So hopefully we will not be too much longer, but we can obviously continue to talk about Border on the front. You don't expect them to ban away any of the hard breaches, and that I think I agree with, especially when you see teams that are already struggling with their attacks. Yeah, okay, maybe you want as many defensive rounds as possible, so make your defensive easier, but do you really want to make your attacks that much harder when you're already struggling? I don't think you do. Looking at the likes now of Maverick, which we saw banned out on the last map, but between our first two teams on Clubhouse, do you think he'll get through this time? You already talked about how there were people that were banned, or not banned in the last game, the likes of Maestro, the likes of Echo, and Glaz that got through that you didn't think would happen. Is Maverick really that much of a higher priority than those two?
Maverick was more of a high priority because it was Clubhouse. Maverick brings so much to that map just because he's so good at eliminating the bandit trick, which is massive on Clubhouse. So really you're kind of expecting more of the Lion, which is pretty much given at this stage.
Yeah, I think the first ban being Lion, I don't think
it's always going to be one. It's just whatever team wants to bite the bullet and go for it. And then we're kind of looking at either Glaz or Ying would be my kind of go-to. I'd say more Glaz because he's on that same power level that you can really put down a lot of pressure with the smoke canisters on a map like Border, where you have these big open spaces where Glaz can really do a lot of damage and cover these planters trying to get the defuse down. Then that's obviously going to be a big factor for teams, but maybe both these teams look at it and say, maybe we need some more of that attacking power to really see us through some of these attacks which they so desperately need.
Speaking of attacking power, and you mentioned Barage's slight aggression and their more willingness to just go and be in your face, we've seen some teams dominate border attacks, bringing Blitz to the table. Is it a possibility, you think, one of these two teams may have that up their sleeve?
Well, Blitz was always kind of in and about. He was never really one of the strongest. He was never one of the weakest. He was more of a fear factor. He was used more on maps like Oregon, where you need a very good roam clear out, because it's very big on their roamers for border. Not that much, because you don't really see too many roamers starting on the bottom floor unless it's a Pulse, which, if it's going to be a Pulse or a Valkyrie, really Buck just excels because you have so much off those destructible walls where you can open up, catch these Pulses and Valkyries by surprise. It's more late rotates would be the main cause for caution on border, but you never know what teams would want to bring. They just say, oh, let's see what Blitz does, but at the moment, Blitz is not in a good place. Whenever you have Maestros, you have Echoes, you have Legions, you have Smokes, a lot of stuff that can really put a dent inside of a shield operator.
Either of these two teams, do they have a strong Pulse player or someone that you expect to be seeing running around downstairs on this map to be that underside threat that you want Buck to deal with? Or are they teams which do stick to the more five-man holding site kind of presence?
I could see more late rotates coming out from both these teams. Sure, they might want to start and kind of go for that roam game, and especially if both these teams know that yeah, neither of us can attack each other, so maybe stick a roamer downstairs to try and use up more of that time, which is so valuable for both these teams, and use more of that utility, which they really need. If you can get a couple of Candelos or Sophia charges away from the attacks, it makes life so much easier for an anchor. And with the anchors we have in Siege, you have Smoke, you have Maestro, you have Echo. The more you have at your disposal, the less you have to worry about. It makes it so much easier for those kind of couple of seconds that we've seen how the anchors can really perform in Siege.
When it comes down to teams which you know have a weak attack, is this worth the gamble of a quick early spawn peak and immediately dent that attack even further? If you catch them by surprise with one guy, take them off tape, doesn't matter who they are, they're already now 5v4. Is that a gamble you should take, and is it a gamble that you think either of these teams might actually employ?
I don't think both of these teams are the risk takers. I would say they're going to still play their same type of playstyle where they're very slow, methodical, they think about what they're doing. It's not as if we're talking about a team like Vexed who, even if they're 5-0 up or even if they're 1-0 up, they will still have two people spawn peeking at the same time, which we've seen time and time again from Vexed. But Barrage and Wind and Rain, they're not looking to take these risks. They want to try and play as best as they can. Maybe they think, yeah, we've been performing really well this week at scrims. We're ready for this. They've refined their strategies. They know exactly what they're expecting from their opponents. I'm just expecting the simple play, and this will be a very simple game in my opinion.
You say they're teams that like to stick to their strategy and like to stick to what they've trained. Do they do that too far? Do they do it to a fault? Or how are they at adapting once they've seen a strategy come their way? If they have something in their mind and go, this is how they're going to play, they play for it, but it's not what they expect, what do they then do in the following round? Can they deal with that, or do they dig in?
If they have a strategy plan for their attack and something goes wrong, let's say if they lose the first blood, if you're Wind and Rain, because looking at it, if Wind and Rain lose that first opening kill, they're at a standstill. They have no idea what they want to do, and if something goes wrong for either of these teams, they kind of go back into a bit of a turtle shell. Perfect example of the round I was talking about where I seen Barrage was just horrific, was they attacked Border, they tried to take control of Armory, they wasted 2.5 minutes of trying to do that. They couldn't get into Armory, and they thought, okay, how about we have 4 people rotate to the quad wall inside of Customs, and 4 of them pushed in through one wall and got absolutely gunned down.
Surprise. What could ever have seen that one coming? Pushed through 4 men through 1 wall and cut to pieces. Yeah, so it leaves a few things to be decided, to speak, on that level. We've obviously got the upstairs bomb site as a go-to, but the beauty of that border is the other 3 downstairs are fairly interchangeable, depending on what the team that's playing it wants to go with. Are these teams that you can see as having much variation, or are these teams where we're going to go into ventilation and workshop almost every time we're downstairs?
Well, the way that the objective rotation parameter is, you need to be comfortable on a 3rd pick bomb site. It's just a fact. You cannot expect to keep going back towards armory and ventilation, because you physically can't do it unless you decide to throw away an armory or a ventilation the odd time. No, teams are going to be ready. They have to have their 3rd bomb site. May it be customs, may it be bathroom. I kind of equal both of them in the same region. They're not as strong as the other 2, but they're still very capable bomb sites if you have your strategies planned, and really mostly if you have Mira available, which Mira, very strong operator on any map she plays. That's why she has the highest ban rate of any defender. If she manages to make it through the ban phase, and both these teams want to opt for potentially ops like Pulse, like Valkyrie, even Maestro or Echo, then yeah, Mira makes those customs defense just a little bit stronger. Not so much the office, but really Mira and customs just puts it to that top level of a bomb site.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mira is one of those operators which you see banned and has to be banned on lots of maps, and she is a huge game changer. But Order, she's one of the lesser impactful. Yeah, she's great on customs. She does have prowess there, mainly though in use of and in holding the floor above it because of the kind of control you get over the rest of that floor. And there are some spots you can put her in armory and lockers for that whole, but you can also easily do it without. So to see Mira go through the bans on border and then still not get picked for the entire game is not an uncommon occurrence. And we may see that happen, as you mentioned, because of how many other high priority bans there are still on the table and still with the current operators. Maverick maybe less so because there's not so many bandit tricks to deal with. Still a couple of walls which he can be useful. Or if we see teams that are putting him out on his own to use him as a flanker, then you might have that. But when you've got players that can just run a strong Ashe, because she's been in since Season 1, is that perhaps more likely?
I can kind of see it go both ways. Maybe, like you said, a great point about Maverick, who can play as that kind of lone attacker. You let him do his own thing. He's, has a silent blowtorch which can create these very sneaky angles. For example, if a team is very heavily pushing in towards that B bomb site for the ventilation room and workshop, Maverick could sneak his way in towards bathroom, open up a hole, just a little tiny hole inside of the bathroom, and you can completely catch every defender who has their back turned to you.
Well, thank you for all of your deep insight and back and forth about Wind and Rain and Barrage. But we're going to throw it all out the window because unfortunately Wind and Rain couldn't get their issues fixed in time and have had to default lose that round. So Barrage will get the full 3 points and we'll take that happily, I'd imagine. We're going to run to a short break and of course try and get our 3rd game of the day lined up and ready to go as fast as possible so we can get you guys another match to watch on your screens. Again, apologies for it, but unfortunately Winds and Rains could not fix their issues, and we'll see you after this break. Welcome back then again, ladies and gentlemen. Just like before, my name is Panky and this is Demo. We're here to actually bring you a game. This time we can hope. We've got Guidance versus Unnamed. There are some familiar faces in this one, back from my old Pro League days.
Yeah, you'll remember some of these guys. A couple of former Barrage players in and about there. You have Tank, of course, being one of the most notable ones, and even Kendrew, who is playing in Challenger League at the moment. He actually finished third place yesterday in his Challenger League match. So yeah, we've got a couple of returning faces that we've seen in and around the community. Even Mac and Madman coming from Xbox, last season's champions, and they've really took their stride in their PC ways now. PC Master Race, I think that's how we call it.
Yeah.
I'm PC Master Race, I think, at this stage.
Years.
You didn't even touch the Xbox.
No, I've not had a console since... Technically, I had a PlayStation 3, which was one of my brothers, and I borrowed it. I have not had one since PlayStation 2. I've not gone near him. But that's, yeah, that's me. We're not going to make you wait much longer. Of course, we had to wait already for the first couple of games. So let's look at the map pick ban already, get this up, find out where they're going to be playing, and then we'll get them into game as fast as possible. They are doing us a favor by coming in early, so we'll not make them wait. Clubhouse, once again, straight on in. It's going to be an interesting one. Do you think these teams can show us a little bit better on how you're meant to play Clubhouse than we did for the first game today? Yeah,
I'm expecting a lot more from both these teams, and Clubhouse has been a really strong map for both of them. This is going to be a very close one. Just looking at it, I would say this is probably our closest match of the night we'll have. And looking at it on names, they actually played Clubhouse against Secret last week, and they lost 6-4, so they were just almost there. So maybe they'll have an easier time against Guidance, but you know, equally Guidance, they've had some pretty strong performances on Clubhouse as well. I know that's not just because they play it in Prem, but that's just a very strong map in general for them. And already there's going to be the two main bans that we didn't really... We weren't expecting anything else but that.
Were we expecting anything else? No. You mentioned how Maverick is incredibly strong on this map because of his countering to bandit tricks, so he's immediately gone Guidance choosing that one, and that leaves Unnamed kind of forced into doing the Lion as the next one, and so they did. Now the defense ones get a little bit more questionable. Unnamed took a bit of time thinking about what they've gone with. They've gone with Echo. We did see him making a big impact in our opening game of the day. Frau having some great clutch movements with that, and more importantly just the information that he was gathering with those drones, even when he wasn't shooting with them or shooting himself straight up. He was still very, very useful to his team. But Guidance took a couple of seconds to think about their ban, and their defense ban is locked as Mirror as well.
Yeah, so those are probably the four most common that we will have on Clubhouse. Maybe you might see a bit of a difference between Maestro and Echo, or even Maverick and Glaz may be an option. But yeah, these are the main four that performed so well on Clubhouse for a reason. Lion, because of obvious reasons. I don't think we need to talk about how strong he is. Maverick, because he's very good at denying those bandit tricks. Echo, because he's just so good at the intel gathering with the yokai drones and the denial of you have with the plant, and it's a very good counter to operators like Montagna. And then of course Mira, because Mira is so strong with giving you that extra protection, that layer fallback, that you and your team can really prove pretty big in most of those final seconds of pushes.
Sixth pick opportunity then. We do see, ooh, Bandit change to Doc for Kendrew, and the Thatcher switched out to Glaz for me. I like that switch on the attacking team. Those are two operators which we saw be very important for the attacks from our opening game. You saw them though, they'd either pick the Glaz or they'd drop him for the Thatcher. They didn't do the 6 picks, they didn't flick back and forth, they just had very telegraphed plans of attack to these bomb sites because of who they chose. But Unnamed have just completely switched on the head their plan for attacking this site against Guidance. You cannot attack the same way with a Glaz as you would otherwise if you had Thatcher involved.
They don't even need the Thatcher. There's not going to be a bandit on the side of Guidance. Instead, they're going
to be fair, didn't know that.
Yeah,
because it was picked before it was switched away, which is something else which I think Guidance would have done on purpose, right? You show the bandit, give you have to bandit trick this, now you're stuck. But then 6 pick him away and give themselves the utility the Doc brings, while also having the fear factor the bandit would have.
I'm liking the Doc as well. I think Doc's a great operator for particularly that garage and catwalk area. If he starts getting frag grenaded or gets shot down, he can stem himself up. We know as soon as you get downed up in that catwalk, if you're not Doc, it's a lost cause. You're dead. Nobody can go over and revive you. Doc can sit there and can really stem himself back up and give himself that extra health to take more of those fights. But no, he will just give up control of the catwalk very early on. This is the most common strategy that Unnamed like to play is where they open up the wall, they try and get Jugger in with some of those frag grenades and just basically obliterate anybody inside of Catwalk. And then of course the presence of just that Overwatch factor that really Claz brings to the table is always going to be huge, and that's just going to be enough to scare Guidance away. And they have given up control of the garage and Catwalk, and this is where the second stage for Unnamed, and they're going to have to start rotating, getting off these hatches, and also get a couple of picks along the way.
Tank Ninja kicks us off, then getting the first kill on Vex, takes the Jaeger out of the picture. I was going to say I like these heavy reinforcements on the doors downstairs because it forces the attackers to make it very loud and noticeable when they start to make their way in to this lower floor. But Vex tried to take these fights through the little holes that had been shot open by Tank Ninjas and paid the price for sticking his head into that way. But Kendrew goes and immediately answers back by taking out the Glaz. Mead's off the table as that Doc sticks his head right in front of him. And yeah, he took a couple of shots, as you said. He can stim himself right back up. He's used all of them now, but he's back at full health, and with Glaz off the table, it's a win for the defense.
So more utility being used by Unnamed. They've started to throw in some of those flashbangs, eat up those ADSs, but really, at what point? You've lost your Claz already. I don't know if Jugger has any frag grenades left. Madman, he still has one, so he could try and make good use of that. But at the moment, things have slowed down for the players of Unnamed. They're going to have to play pretty quick on their feet, as Guidance, they still have utility with those smoke canisters, with even the Maestro cameras as well. He is downstairs for some reason. He's going to try and go for a mad rotate. This could be pretty detrimental. Harris may come up against Madman, but no, Mac, he has been killed, but Jugger has the refrag.
Kendrew takes out Mac, but yes, Jugger refrags him straight out. Hayes tried to take a fight elsewhere and took a bit of damage, which is why he had to back away back through the basement, tries to come up through the bar, but shoots that drone, which wasn't, I believe, active. So maybe could have kept it a secret, but there were two dead players on the attacking team, so I'm sure someone could have switched to it at any second. He does make his way back upstairs, opens another rotate to try through and flank as the push comes in from the other side. The plant has gone down as Madman takes down Harris as he tries to flank over, and now it's 3 attackers versus 2 defense, and one of those defenders is already low on health. The diffuser is down and the planter got out to safety. Now they've got to deal with the man on the balcony and the man in the garage. Tank Ninja's on the balcony, realizing he doesn't need to stay up there. He can rappel down and hover outside. The crouch peek on towards Jugger doesn't actually land the shot it needed, as Tank Ninjas will take out Blackout. Hayes will trade him straight back, but Jugger is there to shoot him in the back of the head and secure the round for the attack.
Unnamed, they take a very easy victory for themselves. That was probably one of the best rounds I think that they've had. It was very well coordinated. The pushes was there. They had the defuse, which is always the primary thing on Clubhouse, is you need that plant, because once it goes down, it is so hard for these defenders to really retake, because then you expose yourself to all these different angles that the attackers can play outside, which is primarily the reason why Clubhouse can be very strong for the attackers in that circumstance, because there's so much outside play, and really that's why the bandit trick comes into so much more compared to other maps. So this will then get Guidance off a bit of a rocky going at the moment, and they're going to go for the CCTV room and cash room once again.
But if you look at the difference there from Unnamed's attack to what we saw between Horizon and M&M in our opening game, is that Madman's buck stayed alive down below that site. He killed and challenged the flanker. They had a buck, but they didn't use him like through the floor as much. He did a little bit here and there, but he didn't decimate it. But what he did do was stay alive, and he challenged Hayes, who tried to flank underneath. He didn't allow them to put a man down there to shoot the planter from below or to C4 the planter from below. He just stayed healthy. That didn't happen in Horizon M&M. Horizon got the kills on M&M's downstairs, man. The kill citizen every time. And that allowed the C4 play to stop the plant repeatedly. Whereas there, yeah, okay, there was equal numbers. You got to kill on the glass, you got to kill on a couple people, but the wall was open, and you didn't have control of below, so the plant was able to go through, and there was nothing that Guidance could have done to stop the plant. After the plant situation was done, game over, because that crossfire is too strong, and that's what we saw Unnamed ultimately win the round with, because they held Madman alive downstairs for so long.
We'll see switch operators as he is. He will be picking up the vigil, so more of a roam game could be coming out from Guidance. Then maybe they want to try and counter Madman.
Yeah, look at what he tried to do last game. He tried to late roam, and it nearly worked out for them, but he ran into a drone everywhere he went. That's not going to be a thing anymore. He can run straight past them and not have to worry.
Madman having a little bit of issue trying to get into the dirt tunnel, but this is he's going to be trying to play that kind of lone role. I know that we talked about in Border, where you can kind of play Maverick in that kind of same sense. You can equally play Buck. He has that destructibility factor where he can just make a surprise hole to either get his way into a room or catch a potential roamer by surprise. couple more drones going in, and just like last time, the entire catwalk and garage control will be given up by Guidance. They've seen how well Unnamed performed against clearing out that garage against Secret last week, so they did not want to deal with any of that. Instead, they're going to try and opt for that hard anchor positions. But like we've seen, Madman can make quick work of those positions, try and get them shook up. But no, Harrods takes the aggressive standpoint, wins that gunfight against Madman. That's going to be a massive kill off the board for Unnamed, and really they're going to have to play out of their mind without that verticality destruction.
So they get the wall open once more. Unnamed have got that site cracked open. The B site is exposed, but as you mentioned, Madman is gone. Hayes is still around somewhere on that vigil. They saw the flashes on their drones a couple of times. They saw the little graphic that indicates he's somewhere nearby, but Glaz is smoking off this push. Does soak up that Legion mine for a minute or two, waiting for someone to peek it anyway, and now we'll remove it. Kendrew does get the first, or another kill, sorry, for the defense as he takes down Mac here on the Thermite who was repelling. Glaz's smoke has run out, and Kendrew chooses the perfect time to peek on Jugger, who thought he was peeking from above, but he's below, and Kendrew also gets Meads for that before Tank Ninjas will finally trade him back. That's a huge, huge flank for Kendrew, and now Tank Ninjas is alone against 4. He tries to sprint on in through the smoke grenade. They can hear him though. There's the Jaeger's top of his head. Tank flicks to it. It's a good kill onto Vex. He could do this. He's looking for the next couple. Man comes up through his garage. He sees him and takes him down too. Hayes is gone. 2v1 now. Tank Ninja's not a lot of health, but only 2 players to fight. One of them's in that site, and he's got to be aware of this. It's the smoke. He flashes him, continues to push deeper on through, jumps on in, looking for this player, sees the tag, but it was the wrong body. Blackout peeks just in time as Tank turns his aim away from the door and will clutch the round out for GG.
Very close for Tank. I thought it was looking pretty good, but no, the very smart decision of Smoke rotating. They knew they had eyes on him with the Maestro cameras. They knew that whenever he does jump in towards the bomb site, they'll know about it. And just like that, you know, Kendrew, so big on that Maestro, and once again, it goes all the way back to that first blood that on the aim they lost their buck, they lost that vertical play, they didn't have that same comfort with actually pushing in and trying to take in these fights. We'll have to see if they can bounce back from it, because they will have more of an easier bomb site, and especially whenever they are very heavy on their buck and also their sledge, where they have all this destructibility. That kitchen is going to be a real big prime target for these players to try and open up and really pull off pressure onto anybody who may want to be lurking. No pulse for the players of Guidance. We didn't even see a pulse between our earlier matchup between Horizon and M&M, and Pulse is a really strong operator, not just for this map, but in general. I think he brings a lot to the table. He has that cardiac scanner, which is just a portable wall-banging device. You can find out so much intel about the potential push which may come in. You know, if you see 3 people stacked outside of the Memorial hatch, which you can see, then you know straight away, yeah, it's going to be the Memorial drop. And if you see a lot of people stacked outside Kitchen and Dirt Tunnel, then you know it's going to be that B push. So, and also C4 from below is always going to be strong with the Kitchen.
Will they be able to pull them off then is the question. Hayes has switched up operators again. He's on to the alibi now. See how they plan to use that gadget. Where they plan to use that gadget, because he's not placed any of the He has been a very mobile player for the last couple of rounds and has been trying to surprise and stab them in the back. Drops one down at a common spawn peak. Might give them a little bit of something, especially as the shots are already rattling through these windows. But Unnamed right now are droning their way in slowly and carefully, making sure they are cautious, making sure they are not caught by surprise on any side of the map, and they have a player coming from every angle at the moment. So, take them a minute or two to get in, but when they do come, they'll be confident about where they're going. There's a couple of rumors to find, and they do know this. And you can see Tank Ninjas is currently holding the cross right between both halves of the top side of this map as the drones clear either side. So they know if a player gets droned and goes either way, he will run through Tank Ninjas. But now the Madman is there to replace it from a closer spot, Tank Ninjas can move around. They've started to herd these 2 roamers into the top of Cash Room and CCTV, and they know it now because the drones are going in too. You can see Jaeger shooting these drones and running away. You can see the shots rattling through from Jugger and Meads as they help join in and push these players into a corner.
This is what I like from Unnamed. They are very strong in the way that they like to operate with these pushes. They try and get so many angles and really pinch you. And that's exactly what you do as a very strong attacking team, which Unnamed have always been this season. And just like that, both of the roamers will be dead with inside the first half of the round. And this, you may think, oh yeah, they've wasted half of the round. This is still plenty of time for Unnamed to then rotate on down and start using the destructibility factor. I'm sure Tank is going to start getting rid of those Habana pellets, but no, maybe not so as Kendrew.
Let Kendrew do this
aggressive.
Again. Twice now, he's been the aggressive maestro. Last round, he picked up a lot of kills doing it. Gets the opening one here. If they let him get more, he can undo all the damage they did in that early push. Picking up those 2 kills was great, and as you say, with a minute and a half left, even better. But if they start losing people now, it could fall apart. Meech does not have a lot of health, and he's not going to be able to take much of a fight. Kendrew, thankfully for Unnamed, has fallen back to a slightly more defensive position, not pushing his luck for that extra kill just yet. Jugger pushing through the construction tunnel. The drones do now to start check out the lower site. 45 seconds on the clock, though. There's still time for this. The kitchen hatch is staying sealed, as I do believe all the thermite charges have been used. Yeah, the other one was using the bar hatch.
Yeah, they lost Tank.
They did. Tank ninjas cannot open it up with the Hibana, so they can't thermite it, and they can't Hibana charge it. Mate is close to that tunnel entrance. There's a lesion line on the door, though. He's not aware of it. Don't know if it landed in the perfect spot or if he might actually be able to sneak past it. But Kendrew does pick up the kill onto Mead now. The numbers are even. But as the push starts to come on in with 15 seconds to go, looking in the right direction is Jugger, but Harris wins the fight all the same. Madman will get Kendrew down, but Blackout will immediately be trading it back by killing Mac. Madman is now alone, does not have a lot of health. He's got to kill 2, but he won't even get 1. Blackout once again with the last kill of the round puts Guidance Gaming comfortably up.
Guidance solely won that round because Kendrew made the very risky play of going for that late rotate. If he managed to not kill Tank and Tank had got open that kitchen hatch, then Legion would never have been able to sit underneath the hatch and get that easy kill onto the sledge coming in through that dirt tunnel. So it really shows you that, sure, you clear out the room game. Clubhouse still has that very nature where anybody could spring up the staircase at any time. You could either be the blue or it could just be the main stairs, which is probably the last place you would expect somebody to be. So just that little bit of sloppiness from Unnamed has really let them down. And well, Guidance, they take the lead moving into their third bomb site. It will be the gym and bedroom. Still no barn stock. Instead, we're going to see the third picked bomb site for them. And just like last time, not too much of a change on the defensive lineup.
No, and it was clear how much killing Tank Ninjas affected Unnamed's attack. Not just because, you say, he couldn't get the hatches open, but because not having those hatches open really slowed down their attack. They got those first 2 kills with a minute and a half to go. That's a lot of time to push that downstairs site. But then they lost Tank Ninjas, and suddenly they were out of ideas. Like, well, now what do we do? How do we get in? Well, we can't get through the hatches. Well, we got to drone a bit more. Well, we're a bit slow. And then suddenly there's 15 seconds left. And they've all just trying to charge into guns, and they couldn't win the trade fight, despite having technically the man advantage, because Kendrew was the man opened up the killing onto Meads and leveled things straight back out. They didn't do what they needed to be done. Now it's time for Guidance Gaming to step upstairs, and Unnamed have been doing great in the first few moments of the round, the first halves of these rounds, opening up the kills, getting the openings they needed in the thermite walls, killing out these roamers. But then they crumble to Kendrew's timings, Kendrew's pushes, Kendrew's flanks. They need to lock that down and not let him get away with it again.
So Unnamed, they have decided to drop the buck entirely and go for more of a utility operator with the capo being picked up. Has those asphyxiating bolts, which can be good to cut off some of these areas inside of the corridor. If you can land a good one over towards main stairs, it kind of eliminates that factor of somebody peeking you from that very common spot. But then also those smoke arrows will be very strong in that final push into the bomb site. You can really sanction off a lot of these players from those different lines of sight that they may want to try and play over towards construction, where you do see 2 players actually aggressively roaming, so they're going to try and deny access towards that east side. But at the moment, Unnamed, they have no intention of really playing that area of the map. Instead, more of the pressure towards that jacuzzi balcony over towards the west side, and already the drones get sent in. They're starting to stack up, and this will be a very close round for Unnamed. If they can really get everything going, they need to have somebody at least go into office, because if you don't have somebody in office, then you don't have that Also another point of contention with that very final pinch, and we're going to see a very risky Thermite charge from Mac, and he manages to get away with it. Blackout did not hear the charge being placed, and this is going to be absolute hell for Guidance, as this is going to be a complete line of sight into Bathroom. Flashbang goes in, Blackout tries to run, but Mage follows in right behind him. He will have to play very quick on his feet as well, so he will be in the thick of it, ready to try and take on these players. And looking at it, Guidance are so scared about the map, I don't know if they can retake the bomb site at this stage.
Kendrew just dropped down to below, and it's hard to rotate back up because that wall's open, so he's got to go the long way, which he's now going with Harris. They are trying to surprise, they've opened up that back window, they might get an eye on one, but Hayes has been taken down now by Mac from a distance. Mac's dropped through the hatch, and Kendrew will see and take him down. That's Jugger actually that's gone. Now Mac to the window, but Kendrew will fall down as Madman gets that out. He's now back to watching the way behind us. He knows there's one more. It's Harris on this Legion. The drop has, diffuser has gone down. Harris throws one out, jumps out and immediately kills Madman, who didn't fall for the Legion mine throw bait, but still falls to that firefight. Good job by Harris, but he's still going to make his way back. Vex is going to need his help. The Vex will fall down. Harris comes in, does trade straight back, but there's still one to find, or two to find technically, but one was in the site. That one has now made a move outside. Harris is going to set back up and reload. Fires a couple of corners, needs to find out where these last players are, does go to the window, jumps on out, does find one, but Mac has the more health and will win that fight to give the attackers a round. Unnamed, losing that man in the bathroom, had no answer to it, and as you said, retaking the site, they had nothing.
Yeah, Unnamed, they thought about where the resources primarily were aimed towards the Guidance, and that was over towards that east side. They had a lot of players inside of construction. They knew if they just want to try and attack as quickly as they could and just straight away pretty much rush. That was a bit of a rush. You know, they were in the bomb site by half the round. It was, I've never seen that Thermite charge try and be deployed.
So you say you don't think Blackout heard it, but I think he did. Because when the EMP goes off, the EMP goes off, and then you hit Thermite, and he did edge. He sort of went towards the hole, and he's like,
no way.
There's two things went through his head. Yeah, it was like either there is no way he's doing what I think he's doing right now, or if I do peek this, I'm gonna get my head.
I would have been the first option.
It should have been
me.
You kind of have to peek it, because even if they do blow your head off when you do it, we saw the result of what happens when the wall gets open. So if by some pure chance you can jump out of there and you get the shotgun off before your head gets blown away, that's the best possible outcome in that situation. As it was, the minute that wall got open, he was doomed. There was no getting away from it.
Flashbang came in, Meads fall right behind it, and that was easiest. Unless you're Smoke as well, that's a massive player off the board. And then it was so simple for Madman to say, oh, there's 3 people towards this west side, I cover one window, and they cannot take the bomb site back.
Yep.
Very simple.
Yeah, so we'll obviously get those players back into the lobby as soon as possible. We saw one player disconnect towards the end of that round. He was already dead when it happened, so thankfully didn't impact that round, but we'll get them back in and remake it from where we were. Talking more about it though, as you say, we saw, and I asked for it at the start of the round, we saw Kendrew try and go for that late rotate. Okay, we've started to lose the site, started to lose the numbers advantage. I'll drop down, come up from behind, I'll bring Harris with me, get a second player come with me, and maybe that way we can, you know, do some damage as a pair. But no, still had Mac on the window, still had Madman on the window. Locked it down, took them both out. Great shots and great fighting from Madman to make it happen. But they did finally realize that this is how Kendrew's going to play this. If they start to fall behind, he's going to do something unexpected, something different. He's going to try and get us from somewhere else. And they were ready for it. And it worked out for them. And it was great.
Yeah, it was, I think Kendrew really has stepped up. We've seen this from him. He's got a lot of kills. And, you know, on Maestro as well, it's not a very aggressive roamer role where you would expect Jaeger or Bandit to do a lot of your heavy lifting. But no, Maestro still has a very strong gun, even though he did get his Alda tweaked just a little bit inside of those mid-season changes. Can't really hip fire as well as what he could, but still a very strong operator. We've seen that not just in the playstyle, but still the ban rates. And Maestro's still very up there with being, you know, high banned along with Mira and Echo as well. So Maestro's a very good fit for a player like Kendrew, who does have that kind of versatile, where he has a very strong aim on himself, and also that potential roam game where he likes to play those kind of upfront and aggressive operators, and he's doing it with Maestro.
So looking through to the next round, which will be the final round of this half, we've got Unnamed back on the attack, 2-2 now. Going into the second half, are Unnamed okay being down 3-2, or do they need this win? Do they need to go into the defense ahead?
I think they need this 3-2. They have looked a lot more of a stronger team on their attacks than they have on their defense. They haven't brought out the Montagne, which has been a big staple for their clubhouse attacks. It is those shield operators that Madman plays, but Madman, after the pretty poor performance that he had last week, which I believe he did 1-7, he's then decided to flick off and go for these more aggressive roles, and like we've seen, it's worked a lot more better for him. He's starting to play more of that flex utility role, that capo, the buck, potentially IQ if he's called upon, if there's too much utility that they need to deal with. But really, they need this 3-2 advantage going into it, because then they kind of have that safety net, that fallback. Guidance, they have also looked pretty okay on the attacks, so I still would nudge them more off a defensive side. But whenever they have players that are like Kendra, who then has a go on his main operator, his Buck, who he can really do a lot of damage, not just with the destructibility, but just in terms of using that C8 to really gun down anybody he comes against. And yeah, Guidance may have that little bit more of a leeway going into their attacks.
Is it really fair calling Guidance a defensive team based on this game? Maybe in previous things, I would say so, but here, their defenses hasn't actually been great. They've just been salvaged by Kendrew stepping up and doing the damage when it's needed. And you could see there on rounds where he couldn't do that, they crumbled pretty easily.
I still think that Unnamed is just generally a better attacking side. That's probably the kind of giveaway that you have with that, is Unnamed have looked devastating. Some of these rounds that these guys have played throughout the season, their attacks have been on point. I've really enjoyed watching them play. They have a very simple but aggressive and unique kind of play style where, yeah, you can see exactly what they're going to do, but they execute it so well.
So, the last round of this half here in the ESL Premiership Series, powered by Intel and the Gaming from Curry's PC team, shows us Unnamed versus Guidance in that tight neck and neck 2-2 scoreline. We've got a Dokkaebi coming out for the first time here on the attack from Unnamed. They've actually switched up quite a bit of their operators here on this this attack. They're going back up. They don't know right now, obviously, to CCT and Cash, but they are not bringing the Hibana to the table. They've only got the one piece of Breach to go with it. They were teasing the idea of 6 picking, but ultimately stayed with their Thatcher.
So we will have, you know, more of the kind of similar playstyle that Guidance have. They really haven't changed up their operators too much. I think it's just been Hayes has been the only person that's actually kind of flexed off operators. You know, he's been there on the Vigil as well. But no, Mute is actually going to be picked up. Maybe they want to try and deny some of the drones that may come in from the catwalk area, but then again, you know, Thatcher's there, Thatcher's alive, can use those EMP grenades to eliminate that factor. No Hibana as well, only one form of hard breach this time, as they've kind of had a bit of a jumble up with bringing that Thatcher and also the Dokkaebi for the first time being brought out to play. This is going to be a bit of an interesting one, as both of these teams have chosen different lineups for this particular bomb site. I think the Unnamed may have had a little bit of a misstep, actually not picking the Buck for the cash room, because we've seen how good Madman can really go in towards that stock room, open up below the players of Guidance, and it gives, you know, the players of Unnamed a lot more of an easier footpath in towards the top of that catwalk.
It's also interesting to see, and I know they were changed recently, but he is using that CZ75 over the SMG12 as well. So he's not going to be, I mean, maybe he prefers it and he's better with it, but it's also something that makes me think that his I'm sorry, that band makes me giggle.
That's a good one.
That's Lion G2.
I think that might be a clip worthy, is it?
That's yeah, that one caught me. All right.
I've never seen Lion play for G2.
So we do.
Never seen Lion in G2 lineup before.
Lion G2 always banned Lion, and now
they're the most
against
team against Lion. And
exactly.
It's been banned.
Exactly.
They're happy about that. They'll be happy.
They will. They will. That keeps them there. But as the Defier starts to come on through, Kendrew we saw already tried to get aggressive and took some damage for it. Jugger there is actually confused a little bit as to where that shot was coming from. He does finally figure out it was behind him, but it was not enough to finish him off, as Vex now has to make his way back to the site. I do like this. Unnamed are good at clearing the map, and they're good at droning around it, and then they push their site. But Vex let those drones go, let those drones happen, and they're now starting to push out. So the Unnamed team aren't as comfortable with the parts of the map they had previously cleared anymore. So they've got to rethink it all over again. And double check those spots. And now the fights and the people they are spotting aren't going down, so they've got to be more careful with this. Harris actually kicks it off by taking down Tank Ninjas. That's a Zofia off the board. Now Harris is still pretty healthy afterwards as well. This is looking good here. There's only a minute left to go, so Guidance having the man advantage and still having heavy control over the actual bomb site is looking good for them. I am a little bit confused by the fact they brought this Mute back upstairs. Now they do have his C4 in him, and they're making this hole here for him to throw it over the top, but he could have done that just as well from below. They've got a micro camera in the spot that can point out the planter, and he could have done it through the structural floor, but they don't need it because Kendra is taking down Mac already as he tries to jump through the window onto the site. Didn't take any damage for that one, but they do sprint a man in from the construction balcony. They've got him into behind the A site, but the smokes are going out as Vex picks up a double kill onto Madman and Jugger, leaving just Meads hanging on the edge of this balcony alone against 5.
This should be pretty easy for Guidance. If they lose this, well, I'll be shocked. I don't think that'll be the case, as really from this stage, they know where he is, and just like that, Kendrew, another kill for him, just goes for just a run out as well. Pretty simple for Guidance, a quick cleanup, and this is where it starts to get pretty good for Guidance, and especially the way that the standings are kind of planned out. This is a massive match. If Unnamed beat Guidance, then Unnamed go ahead of Guidance in the standings. And if Guidance win this, well, they could be on for potentially the second place or the third place. That could happen. And I would say really for Guidance, Vexed, and Unnamed, it's kind of the race to see who will get third seeded. Because if you look at the standings, whoever gets that third seed will pretty much either play Barrage or Horizon. And you kind of think, okay, that should be a pretty simple win for them in the playoffs.
Yeah, that should secure your spot at LAN. But there is still, you know, a lot of maybes that could go down in amongst that mix, and a lot of surprise outings that it could cause. A couple of 6 picks going through again then, the Legion being switched away. Oh. Yeah, Legion being switched back to Bandit then for Tank Ninjas. And we did see the Zofia brought in here for Guidance on their attack. That Guidance attack is a very aggressive setup with Glaz and Zofia in the mix, but they did go with double breaches and the Thatcher to make sure they can get the walls that they need open. We'll see whether their attack here of CCTV and Cash is as controlled as Unnamed. Now Unnamed did lose that last round, but they had a couple of confident attacks on this to begin with, and it was Guidance adapting that dealt with that. Guidance, can you start out as dominant on your attacks?
Guidance, you know, you said you have the Glaz there, which is a very strong operator, that very big power player, but you're not bringing any other operators with smoke grenades. You're not supporting that Glaz. He only has 2 at his capability, and for example, if those get eaten up by a potential ADS, then yeah, you're just bringing the Glaz with no real pushing power behind him, doesn't have the utility, and that's where you kind of run into issues with bringing these operators that if you're not going to support them, it just leads to nothing.
But they need him to be a push potential after those injuries. Oh, Jugger kicked it off, taking him out, never mind. I was going to say, once he's in the garage and on the catwalk, he can just hold a long handle, it doesn't need smokes for it. But it doesn't matter, because Jugger's taking him out of the game, so he's gone.
It's just more the smoke grenades to actually clear that catwalk, which is really what you need it, and if those ADSs scattered about the garage and those eat them up, will end exactly what Jugger just did, can just peek at Glaz, who will always win that gunfight because he has the better weapon, and Glaz only has the OTS. So, looking at it already, the wall has also been opened by the players of Guidance. No Bandit trick coming down from Tank as he was pressured very heavily. Of course, with that ever so looming presence of Zofia, who could try and get a couple of charges in. Kendra, however, does equal back with a kill onto his own as Jugger. He will be put back, so Doc off the board. No long-range stim pistols will come off it. Tank refrags, but Harris pushing aggressively, and Madman from the catwalk, which was left unprotected from the flank watch. Mead still up and alive, so that means the Maestro cameras can be used for that quick bit of intel. And of course, that Alva can always throw a lot of rounds down in towards the bomb site. Blackout, the last remaining survivor of that bloodbath that did happen a couple of seconds ago outside, trying to see if he can at least pull it into a 2 versus 2, which could be clutchable. But saying that, Vex on very low HP with still half the round to go. This could really swing either way. If Blackout manages to get the pick onto Madman, then yeah, I could see this being clutchable, but if Madman manages to, just like that, get at least 1 kill, a 1 versus 3, and they know exactly where Blackout will be, sure he has the Elliot, but then the 416, and also Meads with the Elliot can easily spray down the Thatcher. Still a minute to go, but just peeking back and forth. As you can see, Maestro toying with Blackout as he does fall, and Unnamed, they take their first defense against Guidance.
Yeah, those early kill onto the Glads kind of pulled apart the attack from Guidance as they tried to come in. Then there was a couple of other quick back and forth, and we did see some kills going Guidance's way, but Unnamed did not let it go unpunished. They were quick to step back up and trade it away again, so they made sure they kept that man advantage every chance they got, and that's a great way to defend. It's all very well to hold your angles and sit in your corners, and it can work out for you to do that, but when you have that lead, thanks to Jugger's early pick, you do want to keep that lead, so don't let them get their free kills. If they do step up and kill one of your dudes, step out on them. Don't just hold your angle, step out and trade them back. Be confident in your shots, and they did it, and it worked out beautifully for them. And they kept that lead going, and ultimately then win the round. Now, they have to switch things up though, and they're going to Church and Arsenal for it, as they do head down into that predictable basement selection. Sixth pick this time not being utilized, I believe, by both teams. They have stuck to what they picked. Jugger staying to his dock, which is definitely a staple of that man's roster. And, well, we saw Wyatt the early half of that last map as well. And the attacking roster also identical for Guidance, despite switching up to this other site. And that just shows how versatile and strong those 5 operators can be. But as you mentioned, still a lack of smokes for the Glads. So once he's used those first 2, he's going to be very static, and I need to see him get hard control of that, I'd hope, construction tunnel, maybe blue, with those first 2 smokes, or he is going to be punished. And against a Legion in that construction tunnel, that's a tough ask.
Yeah, there's a couple of options you can go for if you want to bring the Glass. Like you said, construction and blue is always going to be an option. Really has that massive pushing power with a one-way corridor. You have the cover of the smoke, but then also we have seen sometimes people want to keep that utility and use the Glass for a final push in towards the bomb site, maybe dropping the hatches, or even if Guidance managed to pull off the church wall push, then yeah, Glass can be very strong. You can open up a direct line of sight using that OTS, put down a lot of firepower on your side of the attack. More unlike, I would say, for both these teams, they're not really accustomed to going for those church wall pushes. You're more expecting just more of get the hatches open and you have that final collapse, because they are more coordinated than what we did see from our previous matchup between M&M and Horizon.
The first few drones have been used and cleared, and the spots have been passed off. Now Vex can continue to check a bit deeper as the rest of Guidance coming to back him up. There's 3 players pretty stacked up on the entrance there, but Vex wants to push in aggressively as he saw a man on this corner, but he actually got a bit blocked by his team, but has now continued to push and check the extra corners. They are out and away. The Havana charges have started to go off on the hatches and are beginning to open everything up, but the thermite charges are still being... Actually, one of those was used on... Okay, so they still had a spare Havana charge, but they used a thermite charge on the kitchen hatch instead. So where is the third... the third Havana charge going to be used? And where is the second thermite charge? The other thing to note here is this hatch, this blue hatch, was reinforced before Kendrick blew it open. That's arguably a wasted reinforce these days by the defensive team, because getting into blue is so easy for the attacking team thanks to that extra pass now. You even see they didn't at any point put a player in there themselves. They didn't hold that. They just gave it up. So you've just wasted a reinforcement on that spot where the floor was guaranteed to get open no matter what. And yeah, okay, maybe you could say they used up the Havana charge on it, but to be fair, they've not brought any other way to open it up, and they would probably use a Havana charge on it even if it wasn't reinforced anyway. But with a minute to go now, Guidance Gaming are slowly gathering all the information that they need on where the defenders are hiding downstairs. There's a lot of them stacked up around blue. Jugger and Madman close by. We've also got Tank Ninjas there, but Kendrew does pick up the first kill onto Madman as he pushes deeper in. Kendrew is on the other side of this wall. Harris now is going to push in through Church, but Vex is now fighting with Jugger. They do know there's right on the other side of the wall. Harris pushes in to take down Tank Ninjas in Church. Backs away for safety. Does pick the diffuser back up again. Sprays through the tear, make sure there's no one there. Steps in to try and plant, but there is a Legion mine to delay it. Can they get some kills here to make it count? No, Hayes is there to cover and Jugger will fall. Mac now is alone. He's in the Church, but Vex finds him, and that was a beautiful attack for Guidance Gaming.
Yeah, very good execution, and that's kind of what I was expecting with Guidance, where they have that final conjunction of everybody just completely flooding the bomb site. The players of Unnamed can do nothing to stop that. And well, Guidance, they take, once again, the lead. They have the 4-free advantage. One more round, and they get a much-needed point. And certainly that will pry away that potential overtaking of Unnamed inside of the scoreboard. It's still all the play for Unnamed. Could easily pull it back and try and secure themselves a win, but they will have to win 3 rounds on the trot to get all 3 of those points. It will be a very big ask, but Unnamed, we have seen them in the late game really start to perform wherever they need to. The momentum starts to build, the confidence really grows in these players, and especially for a team Unnamed where I would say out of everybody, they're the team which
Defenders, protect your
has more of that kind of legacy with them, where you have these certain players that teams are expecting to live up. Of course, this is excluding Secret, who were just expecting to, you know, walk the league anyway. But for players that are like Tank, players that are like Mead and Jugger, who have been about the PC scene for so long, this is a real task for them to really prove and say, yeah, why we were the you know, the year 1 pros, the year 2 pros, and even for Mac and Madman, who have such a legacy inside of the ESL Premiership, winning it the first time around and then coming over to PC. A lot of players have hoped for Madman and Mac to really be as dominant as once they were on Xbox. So they do have more of that pressure, I would say, kind of staring down at them just from the entire community.
That's very true, but talking to Tank Ninjas beforehand, he seems very proud of the fact that they only practice once a week. But,
yeah, I know that.
But they still seem to do very well for a team that only practices once a week, and they are definitely not a team to be shrugged off. Guidance Gaming may have the lead now, and they may have had a couple of decent attack rounds on them, but they cannot sleep on this. They've still got plenty of chances here for Unnamed to swing this back. Remember, they can get all 3 points out of this if Unnamed win every round from here on out. But Guidance Gaming will be well aware that all they need is 1 round to secure a point from this game. They are now making their way in. A couple of Pro League skins on these guns, looking beautiful as well. They have
Fizz up, bro.
Drone their most of their way in. They will now begin to open up some of the other hatches. Thermite charge once again used on that bar hatch, so definitely a conscious decision. As Kendra opens up the kitchen hatch, and they begin to push their way further down and into the site again. I remember last time around, they waited till the last few moments and just took their time with it all, and then just straight brute forced their way in, to be fair. Like, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't coordinated, it was just, look, we'll peek here and get a kill, and then you'll cover me and I'll plant, and then you'll peek here and you'll cover me, and it worked every time because there was no peek back, there was no trades from Unnamed to try and contest it. Each fight was taken one at a time at the pace that Guidance Gaming set. That needs to change. The batteries are still on this wall. Camera's being shot, and here comes the EMP. Harris starts planting a thermite charge. It is going to get battery tricked, but the Hibana charges are going to go off. Oh, he cancelled it! And the Hibana charges are going off on the other side, so they'll both get open, but he does get peeked. Tank Ninjas gets one, and Meads gets another, but Kendra will trade Meads straight back, but it is a man advantage for defense. Tank Ninjas didn't take any damage with his kill, so it's a great one for them, as Kendra also took a little bit before he managed to kill Meads. So, the attacking team did start out very well, but might not be in such good standing now. They've still got a minute to go though, can stop, take stock, and come back in a moment for this attack.
The main thing that Unnamed have against the players of Guidance is Mac is still alive. With those smoke canisters, can try and deny the access of Vex down this blue tunnel as long as he can. Vex somehow managed to dodge and dip and dive around all these shots being deployed by Unnamed, but no shotgun will put him in the grave. Upstairs, Blackout has had to revive Kendra. He did get down from the hatch. Blackout will run straight into his demise as Madman just lurking in the shadows of the staircase sees another one. He picks up a double kill to finish things out in Unnamed. Well, we said they need to take 3 rounds on the trot to take all 3 points, and they've already started off pretty well with a very good hold on the downstairs defense.
It started to go a little bit wrong with that poor battery trick not quite working out, but a quick reaction from Tank Ninjas and Meads together, aggressively peeking it instead, getting some kills to their name, and actually giving them that lead and the advantage despite losing that huge amount of control from the wall being opened. Managed to stabilize the round for them, and then, yes, as you say, Madman taking advantage of them falling back upstairs to revive Kendra because they knew he got down above, they just couldn't finish him. Getting aggressively in position on that staircase again, not letting them reposition back into that spot where they had the control and shutting them down. And yeah, the control over blue as well. Vex did begin to book down there. And admittedly, he may have been a bit unlucky on the shots towards Max Smoke. He wasn't quite landing them or getting the damage out that he perhaps deserved, but they did make the most of it with that not happening. Jugger helping out Mac to distract Vex a little bit longer, and then the shotgun was there, of course, to make it an easy cleanup at that close range. But the 6th picks have come through. We've gone from a Legion to a Valkyrie on Unnamed defense, and we went from the Zofia to a Dokkaebi on Vex. I like that idea because the entire counterplay that Unnamed just pulled off for their defense, admittedly different side now, but the entire counterplay of that disappears if their phones were ringing during that entire aggressive moment, that entire push and the thermite charges and such from Guidance. So just that little bit of a change where Dokkaebi can perform a similar role to Zofia, pushing down that long angle, using their DMR range to be that solo pusher, but still affecting everyone else on the map with the phone calls. Really, really impacts the way their attacks could play out.
5 seconds remain.
Yeah, Dokkaebi still a very strong operator inside of the meta. We have seen her get banned a little bit, not too much compared to the other attacking operators. Can kind of fill that role off the line where you have that universal ability. Just helps with that. Either the early execution of the room clear out or that final execution of the push into the bomb site for the plant. Really, that's why teams use it, is one logic bomb for the rumors and then the final one for that aggressive nature into the bomb site. At the moment, we do see Unnamed have just a very standard hold, nothing really out of the ordinary. You have Tank actually playing the Valkyrie, could look for a potential risky C4 right up on top of the balcony, and he does just that as Kendrew gets blown off the face of the balcony and can still play very aggressive from below. It kind of has to make Guidance worry about another potential run out that Valkyrie could perform. Also, Unnamed, they still have control of the garage, one up top and also one on the bottom, and Madman, he will lose his life. Actually, not his life, is we will see the Doc and the Stim Pistol used to great effect. That's a great bit of utility used by Jugger. This is exactly why you bring the Doc, not just because Doc is great at simply playing upstairs in the catwalk, because like we've said, you can revive yourself, you can give yourself extra health, but just the fact that it's a very, very open map, and what, like I just said, another great use of Jugger using the Stim Pistol, picks himself back up and can still play an absolute menace here inside of the catwalk. The last bit of utility from Glaz will be expended. The last smoke canister, he has to make it count as Madman has eliminated Vex from below. 2 players outside of the balcony, 1 also outside of the single doorway, and everybody falls. Last man up will be Blackout, 1 versus 5. Gets 1 kill for his troubles, but really at what cost? Not cost at all, as Meads will pick up the final kill on Unnamed. Well, they managed to scamper a draw from this matchup, and they are looking very strong in getting all these free points.
I really like that use of Maestro camera and Doc combination. The Maestro camera sat there in the smoke on the door, so he could have called out when Glaz came on in for that second push. And as you mentioned, the Doc reviving himself through Glaz's shots. A little bit unlucky that they actually landed to begin with. It did look like they were going past him, but it clipped his shoulder, I'd imagine. But then, of course, the revive makes him a little bit more invulnerable, gets him back up, makes him fight again. But then, of course, yes, the Maestro camera blocking the next smoke coming in, and they had, yeah, a crossfire from the balcony. It was great. The blackout out there could have stopped Doc running through, but he missed his shots. Doc got himself stuck in the corner, and then Meads was there to pin Blackout in. Blackout couldn't push forward aggressively, instead couldn't really make anything from that edge because Meads had him cut off. It was a great use of those 2 players working together to keep control over that garage area. Now then, 5 rounds, as you said, to Unnamed. They could still take all 3 here, and you mentioned how big it is for them if they do it. They could be pushing themselves towards the LAN final, or at the very least 1 step closer. If they pull it off, they might still have to go through the playoffs, but they really need these 3 to make it easier for them. Guidance Gaming, of course, on the verge and in a slightly better spot as we headed into this game, but really do not want to slip down underneath it as we are so close to the end of the season.
So looking at these lineups Unnamed, they haven't changed all too much. Meads is the only one who has decided to pick up the Vigil, so potentially that roam game over towards the construction and cash room area could be the option that they want to try and opt for. I'm saying that we're going to see Jugger rotating in towards that strip club area, so we may see a potential spawn pick. Is this something that you really want to be doing whenever this could, you know, kind of provide you that potential 3rd seated position he's looking for? But as we knew, there was a drone actually looking over towards that west hallway. Doesn't see anything, and I'm sure he will give up his troubles, but no, sees the Ash, tags up. He is just a tad, but wow, that was that could have been pretty detrimental there on the side of Guidance if they did lose their first initial aggressor, as of course Ash is so big for trying to clear out those rumors.
So it could have been the round locked in the bag for Unnamed if he'd have got that kill. Could have secured them 3 points right there, and you mentioned it before, and I mean I asked about it before too. How likely is it we see the team go for these crazy aggressive peaks? And you mentioned Vex do it every single time, but Unnamed and Jugger especially have a player who is not afraid to do it and not unable to do it. But this time falls a bit short. The defense, though, is continuing to hold. There's only 2 minutes left on the clock now for the attack to really shape up. And they haven't really done much about actually getting in. They're starting to Thatcher and Thermite or Hibana the hot tub wall, which, as we mentioned, is important, but they're taking a long time to get it done. Margaret will two-punch that jump out window. Zafir is actually out there on her drone, so it could be an option, but he doesn't know this. Hayes, meanwhile, will take down tank ninjas elsewhere. That's the Valkyrie gone. Meads inside the bathroom, does run out of his anti-drone protection. Max still tucked in the corner with his shotgun in hand, is trying to open up an angle in towards the site. Jugger is trying to find a way to make himself useful. Wants to do it, he's going to do it. Now's the time. It does line it up with Mac, and he will trade Mac's life. But is it too much to lose that smoke at this point in the game? He is a big operator and hadn't used any of his charges, I believe. With 1:10 to go, they now know Vigil is definitely in their bathroom. He's still got 2 impact grenades, which he could use to his advantage at some point soon. But with 1 minute to go, Guidance are definitely looking good here.
Yeah, a very good kill for Jugger. Great bit of timing there for Mac, but really, in the words of our famous Milos, the Maestro Medic, I would still say at what cost? That's kind of, you look at it, you trade a smoke for the Sophia, and especially in these kind of dire straits moments where you need that denial. Harris eliminates Maids, another kill for Guidance as Blackout eliminates Jugger. Down the Madman, 1 versus 4. Downs, he is on the stairs. He sees the Havana, goes for the shots, but no, doesn't manage to land anything. Doesn't even manage to land one onto Ash, and Kendra cleans up house. And this will be our first draw of the evening. Guidance Unnamed going the full distance, and it will end 5 rounds apiece. And yeah, that's a pretty, I would say, good representation of the way that we thought both these teams were going to be. It ends in a very level playing field, and really, that's, I would say, points drop for Unnamed the way they were playing on those defense.
I want to hear from them and find out why Mac jumped out where he did. We'll choke on them later and figure it out, but like throwing your smoke quid like that to jump out on their back didn't seem to have any logic behind it. They might have had a Val come out there to know she was there, and maybe they wanted him to perhaps distract for Jugger's jump out, but if all he'd have done is say punch the window or smash the window, that would have got the attention just enough for Jugger to
fired a shotgun blast.
Yeah, fired a shotgun blast out. That would have been the attention. He didn't need to throw his life away to do it, I didn't think. Or maybe it was just mistiming. Maybe Jugger was meant to go first and Mac thought he was closer to the window. I don't know, but I feel like that was definitely the turning point in that round.
Oh yeah.
Where
you lose your smoke. That's the bottom line.
They started to be unwinnable for them. And yeah, it's a shame because they did a lot to get those 2 extra rounds to bring themselves back up to their match point, but Guidance Gaming will definitely be happy with taking 1 away from them.
So great couple of plays as well from Kendry, really the standout man, if not, I would say the MVP of the match. Had really good moments of glory there for him and his team. This was a bit of a questionable one. I'm surprised that Mead stopped that. Maybe he took his finger off the gadget deployment just that little bit too soon. Yep. And somehow he still managed to get away with a kill and does do a bit of damage to Kendrew. But really, this was a great defense from Unnamed. They had a lot of good synergy between each other. They were really bouncing off each other. They had the flow Madman with good double kill onto the final 2 remaining members. And then just like you said, the jump out, this was that was the play. That was, I would say, the one that cost them that 3 points. That was it.
Yeah, I really feel like that was the one. If Smoke was still in the play there, still in a situation, say if Jugger jumped out and killed him, great. If Smoke was then still alive, he could have smoked out that the gym and bathroom area. They couldn't have got in. There was no way they could have got through and planted. And I feel like it could have been the entire game there for them with him still standing. Even if Jugger jumped out and then perhaps died, I think they could have been in a better spot with just Mac alive and Jugger dead perhaps, because yeah, Smoke is that influential at that point, whereas the Jugger, Doc, less so. Yeah, he's a gun and he's a great shot, but the dock itself, the revive and the heal, wasn't going to come into play at that point in the round because of how late it was and because of how long it takes to actually use the heal and land the heals, and you know the positions you're going to put yourself in to make it work. You weren't going to use them at that point in the game, so you needed those smoke grenades instead, and that definitely came back to hurt them. Yeah, you even had the shock on there in that kind of close range scenario, which would have helped out. And even looking at it, did they really have to go for the jump out? They didn't have to.
Couldn't Smoke have just sat in the bed where it's a bit of a blind spot for the Sophia? Smoke then could have denied access to that bathroom push. In hindsight, it's 2020. We are only seeing it from our perspective. It may be different inside of the game, but really looking at it from unnamed standpoint, they still take away a much needed point that they needed, but in their eyes, yeah, it's definitely 3 points that they dropped. And like I said, Guidance and Unnamed are still trying to fight for that third place spot to try and get that easier playoff match. Yep, and well, with that 1 point apiece, they put some, well, both no real step closer to it. I mean, it keeps them comfortably around where they were before. Moved. I'm pretty sure that's the standings just hasn't moved. Yep, they'll have touched and no movement at all. And say with Vext and Secret playing up next, they're not going to affect those two standing either. So I think it puts definitely puts Unnamed up at 10 points. I believe they're at 9 points. They're sitting at 5th. Guidance are in 4th. Vext are in 3rd at the moment, and M&M are sitting at 2nd. So Vext could overtake M&M. I was thinking of the standings as they were on our opening graphic, but of course with M&M's result, they've jumped up for the spot. Yeah, they've got 3 points out of the 9. Yeah. So let's have a look at those updated standings, so I don't have to do maths live on stream, and there it is. M&M are up to 2nd place because they win earlier. Vext are down because of it, but they still have to play Secret now. What do you think the chances are of them getting 1 point out of this? It's going to be a very big ask from Vext. It's still Team Secret at the end of the day. We know how strong all 5 of those players are, but Vext, you know, they still had some pretty good plays themselves. They are definitely the most unique team we've had inside of this Premiership. They have had that very aggressive play style. I don't think you can ever counter-strat them because they don't even know themselves what they're doing. And I'm liking the way it goes 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. That's a nice order. It's nice and clean to look at, but we're gonna have to break that in a moment with either Secret bouncing up to 16 untouchable points, or perhaps Vex going up into 1st place if they can win it and come out on 14 as well, which would be another surprise but also interesting development coming through this way. But then, as you mentioned, the playoff as it currently looks, and if this game goes the way we expect, if it is a Secret win, that is your playoff bracket in Vexed, Guidance, Unnamed, Horizon, without next week's results taken into account. Do you think that is an unsurprising playoff bracket for this season? Would you be expecting those 4 teams in the playoffs? Maybe M&M switch with one of them to M&M being playoff as opposed to 2nd, but the other 4, do you think Barrage and Wind and Rain have any chances? What I'm really asking. Yeah, looking at it, we've got a lot of big matches next week, which again we'll talk about at the end of the night, but we've got some big, I would say, seeding deciding matches, but still, Vexed, if they manage to somehow even pull off a win, which is a big ask, then they shoot up into 1st place, which it kind of jumps up the standings even more, but we're still kind of nudging Secret to take the win. They will then go ahead and then they'll be at 16. They can't even lose their 1st seed position, and of course they're going to be qualified land, so kind of next week is just a mercy match, which I believe is against Guidance as well. Yeah, exactly. So, you are obviously watching the ESL Premiership here, presented and produced, of course, by ESL, but powered by Intel and gaming for Curry's PCs. But if you want to play in your own ESL tournaments, you want to play in some of these cups yourself, or perhaps train yourself up and get ready for the next season, the Community Cups are still being ran on Xbox and on PC, and you can go and take part at esl.im/R6SUK every Tuesday and Saturday. So go and check those out if you want to get a taste of competition. Remember, ranked settings in Siege are very different to competitive settings, so it's a whole different environment that you don't normally get to experience if you're just playing the game at home. So certainly something to try if you've ever considered giving it a shot at what the pros are doing. Yeah, of course, we know we've seen plenty of people come even from the Xbox side of things. They've had, of course, played their fair share of these PC tournaments, get a bit of a taster. And certainly for anybody who is not just stuck on the PC, but also if you're thinking about switching from Xbox and coming over, then yeah, of course, that's always a good basic standard to start getting a team assembled and really, you know, start to strive towards that Premiership level, which anybody can achieve.
Is it? There are plenty of Pro League players that are Xbox pros from back when Xbox had its Pro League. There are players in that last game, Madman and Mac, who are previous Xbox champions here at the ESL Premiership. It is not an impossible task to learn the game, get good, and figure out whether it's worth your time and investment on the Xbox console before then switching over to PC to try and join the big leagues. So give the Community Cups a go, have a tryout, maybe even the other things that are there for Xbox competition. If you feel like you can do it, if you feel like it's worth a jump, then grab yourself a PC and come and join us in the Premier League for the next season or something along those lines. But we have one final game of the night, Secrets versus Vexed. It could be the biggest game of the night, or it could be a whitewash with Secret as the Pro League team, obviously the favourites. But we're going to have to run to one more short break while they get up and set up and ready. When we return, we will have that final game for you to watch. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to the ESL Premiership, powered by Intel and Gaming from Curry's PC World. I, as before, am of course Panky, and this is Demo. In Demo, we have our last game of the night to go. It is Secret versus Vexed. It is a game which could be very close, but could also be a complete whitewash. We need to see which Vex shows up here today. What do you think is most likely for us to see?
I think it's going to be more of a closer matchup in terms of the fragging potential. We know that Secret, I don't really think we have to explain about Secret at this stage. If you're not a fan of Siege, Secret are basically one of the best teams in the world, and they're playing in this competition. So you always kind of have to favour them in that circumstance. But then Vex, you know, look at it, they have players there. They have the best player in the world on their roster who has decided to play inside of our Premiership as well. But then they have, you know, new talent there such as Doki, who has really performed pretty well in terms of his fragging rules. He always has been in and around the community, more known as a ranked player rather than anything else, and this has really been his first league to try and show us why he is more of a competitive player rather than just, you know, the ranked monkey who just keeps running out and jumping out and doing all the things that basically Leon Gids used to do back in the day. Yeah. So yeah, there's still a lot of good young talent there on the Vex roster. I know that they've been having a little bit of issues, you know, with certain players, you know, certain things not really working, but hopefully they've ironed out some of those creases and are really ready to start putting some pretty big rounds on the board.
As you say, like, they've had some issues, but when, you know, they're still pulling out the results and they're still as highly placed as they are, how big are those issues in the grand scheme of things? They're obviously not quite enough to be perfect, but they're still a pretty damn solid team. Let's have a look at the map, Vito, and find out where it is they're going to be playing this game. And for the first time, it's a bank.
Yeah, first time we've had in the season, we're going to have a bank being brought to the table. I think it is. Might be the second. I think it's the first, though. So, Bank is a map which really nobody plays at all, just in general in Siege. I think the only region that would ever really play Bank would be Latin America. Everybody else has really shifted away from that particular map. The only time we would ever see it is a bit of a weird one for the best of threes, but best of fives would be more where we see it. But at the same time, you know, it's Bank, it's fresh. A lot of new strategies could be pulled through. We'll see if they can do any of it. A
lot of potential for roaming teams too. So as the bans come in, Demo, what time is it now?
I think everybody knows what time is it. As of course, Secret and Vex is going to get underway, and it's Siege time.
So as our first ban comes through, it took them a minute or two. Secret had to actually make their mind up on that. They're going to go with the Glass ban. So they're going to give Vexed, or rather force Vexed into being the Lion ban? Or do they gamble with the idea of leaving it open?
No, Vex ban Lion. Yeah. No doubt in my mind.
What a surprise.
Yeah. Mostly because Secret will play Lion. Secret will happily play Lion. They have Lackey there, and they, before the bans came into effect, whenever Lion was a thing, Secret were very heavy on the Lion. They play it every time they can, and really I'm kind of expecting either Mira to be banned out, or no, Echo is going to be the option for the players of Vexed. And I'm guessing this is probably going to be the Mira ban for Secret. Glaz and Mira has always been their go-to bans in any competition that they play, and like I said, yeah, both of those operators gone. Looking at these four, nothing out of the ordinary. These are the four most banned operators we have inside of the competition. So, yeah, it will be good to see some less of these very strong operators and more of these kind of niche picks. Maybe Montagne might be an option, who is a very big staple for Bank. Or we might, again, see Jackal, who really doesn't get enough play, as I believe he should, but on Bank, on a very heavy roamer map, a very big map, then yeah, you're really expecting some Jackals to be brought.
Yeah, as I say, it's a map which is very roamer heavy. It's a map that also lends itself to late roaming perhaps as well, which is something we've seen a few teams try out. And as you say, it lends itself to Jackal too, because of that size and because of tracking and controlling his roamers as fast as possible. You don't have the time to drone every little corner of the map that you do on some of these others. So you rock up there, Jackal goes first. As long as his initial peak is clear, which you can drone that bit, then he can define the footprints, scan them out, and then you know exactly where to look for your next guy. And you don't have to do any more hunting down to really waste your time. And and we do see a sixth pick out from Secret, though. They have switched away from, I think it was an Ella previously, and are now over onto a Clash. for their basement defense.
I just want to clarify why me and Planky may be chuckling at the moment, because our monitor screen is going haywire. It's just turning on and off and on and off, and it's just done it again.
It didn't get the memo that Halloween is done.
Oh,
and it occasionally opens the menu thing too. I think there's a ghost pushing the menu buttons, but hey, we'll see.
Oh.
Team Secret's defense then. Clash can control this server room really well in the basement, but that also requires the hatches above to stay closed, otherwise she can easily get cut off. So we'll need to see how it is they choose to play that and where it is they choose to use her most effectively.
A bomb has been located.
So, Vex, they will already start to gear up towards this dirt tunnel. Is this a potential rush coming in from Zach and Doki, the aggressive operators? Maybe looking to try and just push their way in through. But as you can see, two angles being held by Lackey and Leon. Both have the angles, and both of them will try and peek at the same time. That was very risky. Zach will hold his ground, however, and this should scare the players of Vex to retreat and think of another option, as that quick push was not viable enough for them to try and stick with it. Feral and Doki, who were kind of expecting to perform pretty big, and Leon Gage just pushes straight up, but Feral eliminates Leon. There is a little bit of history there between Feral and Team Secret, as if you did not know, Feral used to be not only a player for Team Secret, but also a coach, and then in the end, he actually did leave to go and join G2, so there's a bit of history there between them.
I think Clash has literally zapped my monitor to death there.
I've seen that.
As we switched to Clash, the electricity came on and my monitor went off. So.
That's where she gets her power from, is ESL UK Studio 2. That's it.
Nice quick push in through server though from Vex after they got that early kill, or after rather Leon got that early kill on Doki and was traded back. Clash was in there and trying to hold them off for as long as she could, but she was pushed back and away, kept herself alive, and that's what's important. She then has now switched around to the other angle, to the other door, to the staircase, to make sure and to push away any possible flank push from there. But the plant's already going down. They are going to put a Claymore down straight onto it afterwards, but C4 goes out from Lackey to take down Zach. That didn't stop the plant, though, as far as I can tell. I can't see it. And it did mean Dearly backed away. He's now gone back in to replant it, and it will go through. He also had a Claymore to put down directly on top of it, but it's 4v3 now. With Stizzy still alive on Clash, they might be able to retake this if they're aggressive, but they're still very slow here and not looking really too hard to try and retake it. Stizzy upstairs does put the shield away and is looking for Jesus as he's trying to find an option. Feral holding the back staircase. There's a man in kitchen who will see him. Lackey gets that kill onto Feral, who peeks with his eyes closed. Jesus does get the kill onto Meepy, but Lackey's now flanking him because of that kill he got onto Feral, and will shoot him straight down just as Lackey drops through the hatch. Dearly is up and above and does see the man on the defuse. Manages to take him out. They've got to start the defuse now, and they need to hold it. If Dearly peeks and stops the diffuser here, it could be huge. They are holding onto it. Lackey does get the kill as Dearly dropped it. Were they close enough? Yes. No! They weren't. The attacking team gets the bomb defuse. Clash couldn't get back onto it in time, so that kill that Dearly got down through the hatch on the first diffuser clutched out that round.
I am very impressed from Dearly there, just getting that little pixel off the peak. I'm pretty sure that you said no as I said yes, because you were cheering for Secret. I was cheering for Vex in that scenario.
Yes.
Wait, what am I doing? I'm cheering for Vex whenever Secret's playing? What have I become?
Hey, I'm not cheering for one team specifically. I'm just cheering for the fact that one team had players left alive. Thus, for that round, you would normally side with that team until proved otherwise, as we were with the diffuse going through.
I'm the farthest thing you can get from a bias caster, guys. Don't ever forget that.
He's wearing his Secret jersey under his shirt right now.
Just Superman the Secret jersey out. Just like Paris.
All right, 1-0 up to Vex then, but to be fair, yeah, a very tight round. Arguably, Secret handed it to them, we could say, by being so slow with their retake. They did have a good retake. They had the right idea. They went for the heavy upstairs push to do it. It did work out for them. It just took them a long time to get the players in position to make it happen. And they paid the price for it by losing out on that one diffuser exactly when he was needed the most. But now they're trying to give it another go. I don't imagine we're going to see Leon get that early kill onto Doki this time around either. So we'll see if either of those two players can really make more of an impact in this round and see how that shapes up the entire outcome.
10 seconds to go.
So, Secret, they may try and opt to go for, I would say, more of an aggressive standpoint. Maybe a couple of roamers, because Vex really haven't done too much of that roam game at the moment. It's been mostly Feral trying to kind of play as that lone slayer role, where he has that Inox as his best friend. It's basically a portable drone, where he doesn't actually have to drone. But once again, Vex, they're actually going to be opting for that dirt tunnel. Zach will be there, but no, Doki and Dearly instead will try and opt to come in through the skylight. So it's going to plan out the same way that we did see it last time, where they want to try and open up the hatches as much as they can. And again, looking at it, this could have been a very strong roam game for Secret, because Vex are not challenging any of these roamers. There could be somebody inside of CEO office, and Feral will be none the wiser.
Trying to crack some holes in the floor. Of course, you can scan out footsteps from below. Does pre-fire as he knows Leon's close. Lackey gets the first kill though onto Zach, but there's the aggressive peek comes through. Leon will win that fight, as Feral thought he'd be much further down that staircase when he peeked through. Now the flashbangs are coming through from above. Doki more going in, but the first two are going to be taken out. That flashbang bounces off and should have hit himself, but it was just enough time for Leon to back away. Leon knowing that he's already grabbed 2 kills, or he and another one has grabbed 2 kills for his team, he and Lackey. He doesn't need to continue fighting, doesn't need to stay up top here and push his luck. He can fall back to his team and stay alive. 5v3 now, it does look good here for Secret's defense this time around, but it's not impossible here for Vex. They've got 1:40 to go, and they do still have an opportunity to make this count.
You say that, but maybe eliminates Jesus. Doki does refrag onto Leon, a 4 versus 2. Our Breacher is still alive, so we could see Dearly open up. But as you can see, the intel being gathered from the Pulse. This is why I love Pulse so much on the defense at the moment. He can provide so much intel, as you can sit inside of the Gold Vault and you can see right over towards the server. All this intel,
both players.
It's been so much gathered. Everybody on the side of Secret know that that's exactly where both of them will be. Doki will try and push in, but he will get stunned. And Zap, C4 as well, gets tossed out. Nearly blows up Stiz. Oh, poor Stiz.
But now the smoke grenades can finally get used. There's only a minute left on the clock, and they will lock out at 30 seconds of it. They do try and pre-fire the way through, but Doki does not have a lot of health left yet. He's going to try and go for that cheeky plant. There's the peek coming through from Doki from range. He knows he can't plant while Clash is standing there, but they're just trying to pre-fire in towards the other side. Secret do not need to peek it. They don't need to do a thing. They can just wait for all the information Clash is giving them. There's the smoke grenade going out. Dearly's going to get so hurt from that, and Doki walked into it himself, so he will down himself now. All now onto Dearly. Clash still just feeling what information he can. Doki doesn't even want to crawl away. They are trying to bait Clash forward. The next smoke grenade goes out. Won't actually hit either of them, but does actually stop Clash from pushing them on the revive.
They're trying to kill Stiz.
Yeah, they now actually stick the revive. I don't think Vex realized they didn't know, and immediately Dearly get taken out by Meepy, who pushed, and the Lems will come out to finish off Doki. That was a sealed deal. As soon as they knew both players were in that server location, Stiz could just step into the A side and hold them there with the shield. There was nothing they could do.
Yeah, that was just the most painstakingly long round I think we could have asked for, where Vex had no hope of ever clutching that just because of the position where Stiz was with the Clash. He can see them. You also had, you still had Lackey there with the cardiac scanner giving more intel. All really Secret had to do was just wait until they planted, and then the smoke canisters come in. Pretty basic stuff. They did all of the heavy lifting inside of the first couple of seconds inside of the round, with Leon and Lackey equally getting a couple of kills for themselves, and we do square off into a 1 versus 1. And Secret, quite interestingly, not going to opt for that archives or also that top floor. Instead, the staff from an open area, which is still a viable bomb site. Bank is one of those maps where every single bomb site is viable in its own way. This is one which is certainly the 4th picked out of all 4 of them, so I'm curious to see what kind of setups they have. Of course, this is Team Secret. They're the pro team. They have a coach behind them who makes these strategies. They test it out and all that good stuff. And again, like I said earlier, they have nothing to play for really inside of this season. They didn't make it to Rio. They don't have to hide their strategies. They can just go all in and really just do whatever strategies they want.
All right. This is a site which is often held by 2 upstairs roamers, 3 people on site holding long ranges with ACOGs. They only have 1 ACOG player in Meepy right now, and their roamers you could say they only really have... Well, no, Castle and Valkyrie are their 2 runs. But will they use them that way? Now, it's Lackey and Leo, who are active roaming mobile players, who are currently also not on the site, so we'll see. But Vexter are a team who are known for being fast, and they are going straight for it. They ran straight in through that back door. Feral jumps straight through the window in the site, but Lackey gets 1 kill with Doki gets a 2nd. Now it's a 1 over onto Steezy as they trade straight back. Feral gets 1 as it's 2 for 2 now. Inside the site, things have slowed down a little bit thanks to those kills, but Feral steps on up just before he finishes the plant as Lems takes down his teammate Dearly. He's looking to try and trade 1 back, and he does see the man, but he cannot get the kill as Leon Gids takes him down. 3 versus 1 now as Jesus maybe has a slight feeling of what just happened. He was not involved in any of those fights, any of that game. He came from underneath, shoots the camera out. It wasn't active, but now they know exactly where he's coming from. All 3 players of Secret are inside the site. They got back quickly. They won those fights well. He is pre-firing a little way towards where the castle's sitting. He does get that kill onto Leon Gids. Didn't actually take too much damage in the process. In fact, no damage in the process either. He's got 2 more to go with now. Pre-firing the common corners, pre-firing where he expects them to be, not where they actually are, though. They're holding firm now. Secret showing their experience here and being able to hold themselves to that standard of, okay, let's not get flustered, let's not get worked up. It was a quick, active start. We did recover. We've stabilized. Now we can just wait. We're still the defense. Here he comes. Now pushing back in through this breach in the wall. They know he's there. They can hear him. It's a question of who sees him first. C4 comes out. Hasn't get thrown yet, though. Lackey, flashbang goes up and over the top. He comes out. Lackey peeks forward, does tag him up. Lackey will go down to Jesus, but where's the trade? Does it come back in? No, but Lems does get the kill a little bit behind. Jesus was ready for him, though. He had the right idea and he was looking the right way. He just couldn't pull the trigger.
Oh, this is Vexed. This is the team that I said you can never predict what they're going to do. You can never counter-strat against this team because they literally think about their strategies 5 seconds before the round. That is exactly what they did. They thought, oh, it's an open area. We've never attacked this. How about we rush in typical Vex fashion? They just ran straight in, a thermite charge on the castle barricade. They hopped on in. Just so many bodies. You could see Stiz literally walked right past Feral, and Feral missed him and then said, hold on a minute, was that a smoke? And then gunned him down. So it was a very comedic round there from both these teams, but in the end, Secret, they just had that little bit more off an edge. It was looking pretty good there for Jesus. It was kind of on the rise. Could he potentially cause that bit of an upset? But no, Secret, they hold firm, they win their 2nd bomb site, and then they can go for their 3rd pick, which is going to be that more typical Tellers and Archives. So really, you're expecting for this bomb site a bit more of a room game than what we did see with that open area. They're going to try and get a couple of C4s, as that does tell us with the double nitro cell and the intel gathering with not just Lack on the pulse, but also Lems could get a couple of C4s tossed up. Quite an interesting one there from Leon. Frost is going to be chosen, so a couple of bear mats being scoured in and around these windows, which could potentially catch Vex by surprise. And Vex, you're known to be a very rushy team. And looking at it, Vex have lost 4 of their drones inside of the prep phase as well.
Yeah, no, that's not good. Their attack in the last round, though, I do like it. It's how you can win. I mean, you don't always, but it's how you can win that site because of how Roma heavy it is for most defenders, because of how they regularly put people upstairs or downstairs. Go fast, go hard, get the site before those roamers can come back and deal with you. Unfortunately for them, Secret's roamers hadn't actually stepped or spread out much by the time they made their push, so they were actually pretty close to come back and join in when it happened, but I do like the idea. What I don't like is, as you say, losing 4 of their drones here in the prep phase. They are now trying to make their way into a site which into a map which we've already talked about being incredibly hard to drone, incredibly hard to gather all your information from it. Back in the old days, perhaps when you can only have 1 drone out at a time, maybe a little bit more forgivable because you're still only going to be able to use 1. But now that you could have had 2 out at the whole time to cover this huge map with cameras, they can't do that. They've lost 4 of them, and those 4 are very, very important. So once again, they're trying for a very quick push. 2 minutes in, sorry, 2 minutes to go, and they're already breaching holes here in the front site. That alone is not uncommon, that alone is not crazy, but it's what follows afterwards. As Leon Gids actually gets the first kill of the round, taking Zach down. That's the Zofia out of the picture, and she is a big deal when it comes to pushing into the site itself, thanks to those concussion grenades, thanks to those breach holes to take away barbed wire, but they won't have that. Quick kill though for Doki through the floor, takes down Steez, and does actually give the attackers a little bit of respite as the smoke is off the table.
That's going to be a big kill, of course. We've seen how detrimental smoke can be on any lineup, and if you get rid of him early before he can use any of his utility, then really that's going to be a good setup for the attack. Still one roamer lurking inside of the basement area. Lems is rotating actually to the midway of those bottom stairs. I'm sure that he probably is going to be aware of somebody holding the flank, and it will be Feral just right above him. Thermite wall will also be opened up along with those Habana pellets, but Leon has the flank, just rushes straight on through as the cover was not there from Feral. The refrag comes out, but really at what cost? Actually a double kill for Feral as the Lems tried to get the refrag but was shot down immediately with that C70, a very hard hitting assault rifle in the right hand. Meatby and Lackey, the two FBI operators, both have the UMP. Lackey can still gain a lot more of the intel with the cardiac scanner, but equally Doki has a drone left and he can find out a bit of intel himself.
I really like that play from Feral, and it was important, but unfortunately he now falls down to Meepy, who was flanking around to surprise again. Leon stepped up, picking up those 2 kills, and it was huge for his team, but Feral needed to and did make the kills he needed happen. Now, Doki is alone. He has the diffuser. He's against 2 and he's trying to find them. He does somehow stay alive there, but he looks for the next peak to come out and it's not coming. Smart play again here from Secret, but there's Meepy to cover it through the hole in the wall. Doki will fall as he tries to aggressively push. It's the right play because he can't make the plant happen, but Secret too good at covering each other's back.
Yeah, the team chemistry from Secret, that is really what puts them on top of this entire league, not just because, yeah, they're great players with their mechanically gifted abilities, but just the teamwork, the chemistry that these guys have. You know, they've been about for quite some time. Really, you know, looking back at it, they started this team way back in, you know, year 3, season 1, after the unfortunate mishap that did happen to them inside of the Pro League. They had to work their way from the ground up, and really, you know, they've been about, I would say it's coming up to, I think, at least 8 months together as a team, which in terms of Siege, with so many roster changes that happen inside of the different regions, and yeah, this is considered a pretty old team.
6th pick being used by Secret this time, but not on the Clash. All right, Leon switched from the Jaeger to Caveira. Dearly also switching from Thermite to Ying. Still got the Hibana. It is possible to attack this site without the Thermite. It's much harder, and you tend not to want to go from the server hatch. What we could be seeing, because this is Vex and we've seen him do before, is instead an aggressive rush down the front hatches into the B site. A quick in, open the hatch, drop on through, Ying as he do, control the entire side of this vault instead. That way you also don't have to worry about the Clash, who's probably going to be up the other side of servers. It's a gamble, it's a risk. We've already seen them take 1 when they attack the other site here. Not sure it's advisable to do when you could end up losing it and putting yourself in a 4-1 down situation.
5 seconds to insertion.
They've also gone ahead and lost 3 drones again, which is sloppy. And as we said, they're a team that like to play quick and aggressive, and it kind of fits them, so they might.
I think
and with
you were
4
right.
players serving,
I think you were right.
With 4 players, 5 players spawning out this front edge, all heading towards that front door. Yeah, I think that may be where they're going.
Yeah, this is...
Doki went wide to shoot the door open. They quickly in afterwards. The drones were left here. Straight to the front hatch. Yeah, there we go. Called it. I still know what I'm talking about.
Well done. Good stuff.
Open this front hatch up. The question is, how quickly do they go down through it once they've opened it? Because you do want to be fast. You do want the element of surprise. But you've already lost Feral, but they dropped down straight away. And Clash was here waiting for them. It's all gone wrong. Secret were aware of it. They're being cut to pieces while being slowed down in this corner. Doki's been slowed and downed upstairs. Jesus. Oh, Doki's been interrogated. Lackey gets the kill. And Lems gets a follow-up really quickly. But Zach is now horribly exposed, and they're hunting him with him through the wall. They do see him lined up. They can't quite land the shots right now. Leons isn't doing it, but Meepy will. And Secret read them like a book, just as I did. And they get themselves a 4-1 half.
That was an absolute meat grinder if I've ever seen one. They had to go for the strategy where they go for that quick rush. And yeah, they dropped and they were met by Clash. He just stands there, stuns them all, slows them down, the shots come in. Somehow upstairs we've seen Caveira, so certainly Eunice from G2, watch out, we've got another Cav main on the bank. But yeah, just vexed. This is Vex in a nutshell. This is what they have done every season. People might think, oh, look at them, they're trying to play really quick and aggressive against Secret. No. This is what they've done against every team they have performed against with these really quick rush strategies. But Secret, They know the playstyle of Vex. They know that Vex do not have these strategies compared to other teams within the league. They know what they're expecting, and, well, you know, they have completely countered it at every single option they can. And now we will see the halftime switch, where Vex, they do have more of flexibility with a room game that we know they can be very strong on as well, where they have players there like Feral on the Vigil who can do a lot of work, but then equally, you have Team Secret there who now have their attacks. They are very coordinated in their room clear-outs. They are very strong. I don't expect Feral to last too long roaming about upstairs, especially whenever Secret, they have the Jackal, they have the Inox at their capability to try and track that Vigil. It's not as if they're coming up against the Caveira who can disguise her footprints against the Inox. Sure, you can see Vigil trying to disguise himself against the drones, but for the Jackal, yeah, you have a big problem in terms of the pushing power that Secret do have against these roamers.
Yeah, not going to be quite as effective. Question now comes in, how aggressive are Secret's attacks? Because that's where Vexed came out. They've not won with aggression, they tried it, but it never worked. Their one win was a slower round where they just then ended up losing all their gunfights, right? The retake came in from Secret, and even though Vex had the right idea and they were holding the right spots, they couldn't land the shots and they couldn't make it count, they couldn't keep themselves in it. Secret are a team which, in this match alone, have shown they can win those gunfights. So the question now becomes, which gunfights do you want to win Secret? You can be slow, methodical, risk letting them all get out alive, but then fight them as they try and retake your plant? Or are you going to be upfront, in your face, and go for the kills before the plant?
They have a Leon, so I'm kind of expecting them to try and go for these gunfights. They know exactly where these players are going to be located. They have the footprints being tracked. He does manage to spot out the Valkyrie and then does get a Doc footprint as well. So quite smartly, you can see that the players of Vex have decided to run upstairs and try and have more footprints to try and keep Feral alive as long as they can. And do they know Feral's going to be up here? This is the freest kill for Feral onto Meepy. Jackal off the board. That's the power of having these different footprints scattered about upstairs, is that it just makes sure that you cannot be able to track your main room. Or great bit of insight there from Vex. I would say a 2,000 IQ play on that one. If only Secret had the IQ, then they could have hunted the Vigil, but we'll still see if Feral will stay alive for much longer. It's very aggressively, dearly chucks a C4, manages to find a Lems. Feral's still on this room game. Lackey picks up onto said Valkyrie, but Feral just lies in wait, lurks in the darkness, and this is not looking good for Secret.
No, they're trying to find him now. They've realized that they have to hunt him down. He can't leave him as an unknown factor. And they are doing what they can, but they've taken two big players away from the actual push to make this happen. They, of course, have no cameras on this. They can't know where it is. It's a very tight angle. He does see one. He steps up and cuts them to pieces as Leon gets down. And the man that was there to help him out, Lackey, nowhere close to trade it as well. He finally stopped paying attention. Steez is now up top as well. He's going to drop straight on down, and he has an idea for the right angle. But there's the man from the server stairs to peek up behind and take him down. Vexed have got one player left to find. Lackey has it all to do. He's got 45 seconds. We've seen crazier things happen, but Vexed are not a bad team. They do hear him jump over this front lobby. That player that was just on the other end of this room, staying hidden. It is Feral, I believe. He is just tucked behind the scope. Oh, but Lackey finds him, finally gets the Vigil off the board, but they've lost so much that with 27 seconds left to go now, Lackey has to make it work. He does fire one shot down towards the stairs. He doesn't actually go as deep as he wants, but it doesn't blow up, so he feels safe with it. But the smoke grenade is there. Smoke himself is in the corner, and yes, he sees it, so he will get that. 1v2 now, 15 seconds to go. Cracked his way through towards the site itself, but this is the first time they've even been close to the site. Does shoot a concussion through to open up the site. Now knows there's one man in there, normally behind the bomb. It was the right spot, but Doki peeks aggressively, and Lackey will fall.
Yeah, Feral, he did all the heavy lifting for Vex inside of that round. An excellent room game, but still the fact that we've seen different players from Vex go upstairs and stop that Jackal track onto Vigil is so big, because if that Tracklejack did go ahead and work on Feral, he would have been a dead guy. He would never have been able to get the kill onto Meatbay. They would have known where he was, and that would have been an entirely different round in the scheme of things. But that will be the downstairs locked out for Vex. They still have a long way to go if they want to try and get anything from this matchup. Secret still very firmly in control, and they will be moving on to attack at Teller's office and archives. We're going to see how Secret want to go for this attack. They have a couple of options. You can either try and go for the heavy upstairs push, where you have a lot of, you know, the sledge coming in, trying to open up the wall and basically kill everybody inside of the bomb sites, and you simply walk in and plant the bomb. Or you can kind of opt for the open area control and try and push in towards triple wall. Or the more common one is take from lobby and push in through the double reinforced wall over towards the Teller sides. So we'll just have to wait. It's all up to Secret what kind of setup they want to go for. Of course, that's always going to change whenever they see the different utility that Vex will be bringing. And, you know, we've seen Caveira. We're going to see another Caveira, as it will be Doki this time on the side of Vex, picking up the Brazilian operator, and that will go pretty nicely with Vigil as well. So a double roam game, I'm sure, will be shown by Doki and Feral.
The thing that comes here, though, is, of course, Vex tried this attack, and it didn't work out for them, in large part because Leon Gids went massive with that flank, picked up 3 kills total, 2 in one very quick succession, which he arguably shouldn't have gotten. Vex should not let that happen. Secret are a team which will not let a defender do that to them, or should not let them. Confident they won't. So Vex's duo roamers need to do a lot together to really make an impact here. They could easily get picked off early, and then as a 3-man defense, holding this site is no easy task. So they need to hide from these drones. Doki is in that front lobby. That drone did not spot him, didn't go properly in. Naki, I'm sure, looking for it. Now he goes back onto his drone. Let's see if does this spot Doki's position. He's going the other way. Does catch him in the corner. There we go. And Doki will not shoot it either as he tries to chase it down. It does manage to hide and survive. Like he continues to jump it around. It will get off of the drone. And then comes to hunt. Doki drops off and drops through. Interesting impact nade. It was okay.
Questionable.
Didn't do any damage to him, but it was also right on top of himself. I don't understand, but whatever. He made it out alive and is, for now, an unknown factor for the attacking team. As was Feral, and Alems pays the price for that. The sledge is gone, and that actually makes a big impact here. Not only is the one player dead, but when you're attacking this site, getting control of the CCDO office and making holes in the floor makes a big impact to the round, and Sledge can't do that anymore. But Steez will use this to take down Feral, and does take that operator off the board, take that roamer down. But a minute and a half gone, and still Doki to find is a decent win so far for Vexed.
Secret still have Meatbee, who has that sidearm shotgun, which can do the similar strategies that, of course, the Sledge would be doing. As you can see, has the sidearm out, and Doki, he will start his approach with the flank, but no, Meatbee will be there with the cover. I believe that was the quick call-out from Leon, who just managed to nab a sight off the Caveira. That could have been very detrimental for the players of Secret if Doki was allowed to get an interrogation off against Meatbee. But you can see the tightness and coordination from Secret was just enough. Stiz will also enter in frame, will try and attempt to get rid of those reinforced walls. Zach still trying to challenge in towards that open area, and Dearly will go up for a roam game himself. Nobody there to stop him. Only one person upstairs, it will be Meatbee, but he will be there holding the flank. He knows this is what he has to do for his team to make sure everything runs smoothly for this final push. Leon eliminates Dearly, and Meatbee will fail Zach all down to Jesus. Gets one for his troubles, but really an impactless kill at this stage. Stiz will swing on round, gets the final kill, and well, Secret, they manage to secure themselves to the point. And if I'm not mistaken, that point also will secure themselves a land position at this stage.
It will, yeah, at least. I think there's a chance they could draw out should a team with 11 points win next week. Should the team that's on 12 points
that means they would need to lose against Guidance as well for that to happen.
Exactly, and the team that's on 12 points currently would also have to win, but
and then score difference as well is
exactly. Either way, pretty sure they are guaranteed with our on-the-fly live stream maths. On top of the that last round as well, Meepee's attack, yes, they lost the sledge, they couldn't make holes in the floor with him, but they had Jackal still alive. He has a shotgun, he decimated that floor above. The flank watch, he was there, he was holding it, he knew there was a man coming up the stairs, he was watching it until Dearly killed him, and then he's like, oh, okay, I can go back to looking down through the floor again. Secret did the slow, more methodical play that I talked about. It's all right, we know there's going to be roamers around, let's take our time, let's hunt them, let's sacrifice, single them out, cut them down, take them off, and then we know we can win the main bomb site, because the main bomb site is an easy push when you have the numbers advantage and there's no extra outside threats to deal with. You know exactly where you're going to be, there's limited spots for them to be. You can even more limit those spots by making the holds in the floor, which they did with the MEP. And then even with very little time left on the clock, it's no issue getting into that bomb site. Now as they're upstairs for their potentially final defense, Vexed are switching up to a slightly more static anchor hold. They've got a Rook in the mix again. They've brought Maestro once as long as they had before, but Doki's on the dock. There's no Feral running around on Vigil. There's no Doki running around on Caveira. They are very beefy, but ACOG heavy, long-range operators now.
So, we will see more of an aggressive standpoint from Feral in a very peculiar position over beside
Doki tried to do that in the last round, but Doki's impact grenade didn't work.
Yeah,
so
and then he had to go back and rope somewhere else. But this time it has worked. But as you can see, Lackey
spotted him.
He knows he's there. This is an easy kill.
Feral, I don't think Feral knows that Lackey spotted him.
No, no way. So it should be pretty easy for Lackey. He should know he's there. He does know.
He hasn't gone back to check it though. Maybe he's presumed he's run away.
He's going to drone up top in a very sneaky drone position, I would imagine, and then see him.
Look, no.
Oh, is this?
Is he just presumed?
Is this drone racing?
Away?
What is this?
Has Feral got away with this?
But nobody's coming over to him anyway, so does it matter?
It does, because he could show up with 30 seconds.
He could kill Leon
and shoot them in the back.
Kill Leon.
Just because they don't kill him early, or he doesn't get the kill early, doesn't mean he's not going to be used. Steve's actually taking a lot of damage here on the windows as he's taking a long-range fight, but dearly will drop to Leon's push in from the other side. Oh, hang from these windows, sorry. He looks for one more as well. He will lose that fight to Jesus, but it was close. Jesus took a lot of damage in the process and is very, very low himself now. There's one more player on those windows keeping an eye on him. Feral does now step up and take down Alems. So that is a very helpful position for him, but Lackey will finish Zach off now as well. A kill going back and forth quite often here in these guys. Jesus is low, but Jesus is still even lower. The Jackal will peek straight into Jesus' pre-fire and hands that kill over MEP4, but now Jesus will go down to the man on the window. Feral, though, going to jump on out. Doki with the final kill around onto Steez just as he finishes Jesus off. Finally gives Vex a round to talk about.
That was a very weird round. Like, from start to finish, it was one that we're not seeing too much. It was more of, I think, Secret really just trying to push their way into bomb site very aggressively, not doing any of the basics right. I don't think they drone too heavy as well. Feral did manage to get that pretty big kill onto Alems. I'm still 100% sure that they did see him. I'm so sure that they seen him, but then I was questioning whenever we seen some, mad drone placements.
The thing is, like, if you'd have seen him, all you needed to do there was, as Sophia was repelling.
Yeah, we thought he was going to do that.
All you had to do is look up, look down, free kill. Even if you think, oh, he's run away, I'll drone for the next one. Look, you just double check it. Just have a quick look. If he hasn't, free kill. I don't know. I feel like maybe I missed the way the drone was looking as it came in, and maybe it wasn't facing the way I thought it was, but I could have sworn it stared straight at that corner.
So, moving into still match point for Secret 6-3. Vex then have to pull back these next two rounds if they want to take a draw. I'm sure Secret will try and stomp out that flame as quick as they can and take all 3 points from this, because that, of course, will then secure not only their place for land, but also their first seed. We will see, again, that ever so handsome Vigil being picked up by Feral, really liking it, and also Doki on the Caveira, and then Dearly has also swung in an Alibi. So these are free speeds that, yeah, we see one of them is typically quite common. The other two, Alibi and Caveira, not so much, I would say. Certainly inside of competitive play, that is. Jesus and Zach being the only two operators that actually will sit inside of the bomb site. I'm guessing Dearly, Doki, and Feral will try and have this very aggressive roam game. And of course, on a map like Bank, where you have so much rotations, the flexibility you have as a roamer. So this is going to have to be an immense tactic from Secret to really clear out these roamers, and whenever you can see these hatches being opened up, it kind of just turns into a big fun house for the defenders, and it does make things a living nightmare for the attackers.
Might be a helpful moment for Secret, though. They actually get the Vigil scanned. Do they know where he is? Yes, he's marked. He's down in the basement, so it doesn't matter. This is the one they need to find on their drones. Like, they can't get her footsteps so easily. Need to find her. They did know she was around for a couple of previous games. She disappeared for the last round. Can we find her this one? She's hiding in a very strange spot inside the office this time, the open office area. As far as I'm aware, they haven't seen in this. VP was waiting and holding that angle, and even with the strafe back goes the other way, Feral, neither of them landing any damage. That's a big mistake from VP. Knowing and holding that on purpose, looking for that easy kill and not making it count. There, though, Leon Kids will do it instead. Feral will finally fall, but Doki has this time moved around. Dearly also falls as Meepy picks up that kill. Caviera now has to make a bigger impact. Zach was trying to hold a crossfire with it. Doki has moved from the open office. The drone was heading his way. I'm not entirely sure if it spotted him. Yes, it did. Now he's found it. Tries to hide, tries to shake his head and tell it to go away, but they are just opening every wall. He does turn around and look for one, but Lackey will trade him from the other way. And now with only 2 players left alive, Vexed have to hold this basement for 1 minute and 15 seconds with a Maestro and a smoke. If there's any operators left in this game to do it, it could well be these two. They're the best ones for holding for this long. With the amount of area dial, smokes, and cameras they have, they go for it. But as LM steps into that staircase, Zach steps out into a concussion, and Lackey will find the last kill of the round and the last kill of the game by taking down Jesus, who tries to aggressively peek the stairs as well.
That will be it. Secret, they do manage to beat out Vexed in kind of what we were expecting. It wasn't the stomp. It was still one-sided towards Secret, but yeah, very good representation of both of those teams. You've seen the play style that really Vex bring to the table, and then their defense is certainly a lot more stronger in terms of their very heavy roam game, but then Secret being Secret, that's basically all we can say, and that's going to be our first team guaranteed for LAN, and not just guaranteed for LAN, that's first seed as well for them. Nobody can touch them. They will be your regular season champions then at the end of the 7 weeks.
Yep, and I don't think too many people will be crazy surprised by that, right? They are Team Secret. They are a pro squad. Question is now who will join them in that guaranteed spot from 2nd place, and then who has to fight their way through the playoffs. Looking at Vex, looking at the way they played, they could still easily be that 2nd place team. They could still pull that off.
Yeah, there is, I think, looking at the standings, Vexed are sitting on 3rd, M&M are sitting on 2nd. Vexed have to go against Unnamed, and like we've said, they're without Feral as well, which is a massive fault for them because, you know, we've seen how well Feral can play. And it's Unnamed, who we know are a very strong team. And not only that, if they did manage to beat Unnamed, we still have next week, we have M&M versus Wind and Rain, which should be one of the easiest matchups that Wind and Rain will play. Or should I say M&M will play, not Wind and Rain. Wow, but yeah, looking at it, I think that was Vex's chance to get 2nd place, and they blew it.
So, looking at this, Vexed, yeah, there's potential in that team. They've definitely got a lot of individual skill. They can shoot well, they can position well, they can move okay, but they don't really look like an organized team in a lot of situations. There's a few spots where, yeah, they were lining up crossfires and they were helping each other out and covering each other's backs, but that mainly came from when the roamers ran into their other defenders, not when their entire defense was set up, not when they sat downstairs and had all 5 lining up. There was no crossfires there. There was 3 people in the site that hoped that their roamers did enough work upstairs, and if the roamers did enough work, then they were okay. The roamers died with nothing. That was game over. They couldn't really do a whole lot else about it. And even on the sites when they weren't in the basement, they still relied heavily on those roamers making a mark. Or if those roamers were, you know, trying to keep someone's attention, someone else would have poke and attack and try and get in there and get that extra kill. But it regularly wouldn't work because Secret aren't going to let that happen. Secret aren't just going to tunnel in on their roamer. They do have other players involved to watch the rest of the site and try, and they cut those players off too. So I can see why it works against less experienced teams, and I can see why it works against teams that don't quite have all of those bases covered and have that cohesion that a team like Secret has. But when you are playing at this top tier and you are playing against a team like Team Secret, those strategies don't work. You've got to play a much more cohesive game, a much more structured game than what Vex were trying now.
Yeah, I still think that Vexed, they still need to look at some of the plays that they do. Sure, they're a team which I think at this stage just do not care about these strats. They just want to play their match. They want to play their style, and it still is the most unique strategy. I said before, nobody can ever predict what they're going to do, And it was proven there, you really don't know what Vex are going to do next. And, oh, that's a pretty good one Vex going to do next. Didn't even think of that, that's a good one. But, you know, they're going up against Unnamed next week. They're without Feral, a big player off the boards. And the way that Unnamed have played, you know, they were very close at managing to take all 3 points. So really looking at it, it's more a fight to see if Vex can prove big whenever they're without their strong players.
Well, thank you very much, Demo. But with that, we're going to have a chat to Meepy from Team Secret and hear what their thoughts are on the game. And, of course, give them a congratulations. Hey, Meepy, thanks for joining me. Congratulations on, if our live on-stream maths is correct,
It is.
getting yourselves through to the LAN finals.
Hey, guys. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a good feeling. More LAN attendance, more LAN experience is a good thing, and we're happy to be there, if the math is correct.
Yes, I believe it is. Demo is very confident with it, and I think I'm ready to back him up.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys, a lot of LAN experience, a lot of things lined up on there, but as you mentioned, this now is... I think it's fair to say this is a home LAN. This is a UK LAN. This is the ESL UK Premiership. This is back on home turf. Does that feel a little bit extra special to you guys?
Yeah, it's a good feeling, you know, when you're attending LAN events in the UK. Like, I've been to a few Insomnia events myself, and this is a little bit more of a step up in terms of competitive experience and like a competitive scene. But a LAN event's a LAN event at the end of the day, and thank goodness I don't need to get on a plane. I hate planes.
Looking at the rest of the league, then, who do you think is most lined up to take that second guaranteed spot behind you guys?
Ooh, there's a fair few good teams in this league. I mean, you got Unnamed, you got Vexed as well. I think are the two big contenders behind us. But there's the rest of the teams that are in the up and coming. The next few teams below us, they all have a good shot at it. They just need to, you know, get the rounds on the board, get the wins in the pocket, and then they'll be alongside us, or at least in the qualifiers.
I think that's exactly what Demo was reflecting when it came to who gets second place. That could go any way, but the playoffs, once that hits, that is really a big mixing bowl, which is why it's so important for those teams to get that second place spot. I want to talk to you a little bit more about the game specifically for our final question before we jump on note and let you free. Looking towards the next season coming in, looking towards a lot of the changes that recently hit and the new operators that are here with the likes of Maverick and the likes of Clash, are you feeling good about what this next patch could bring to mix things back up again, or are you finally starting to feel out where the current operators sit and where the current meta feels, and a little bit apprehensive about what we're going to see coming up?
I don't think there's ever been a season where the new operators that have come in haven't shaken something up. Like, we're all very naysaying against Dokkaebi and her usefulness, but then after a month of her release, suddenly she's played in every lineup. The phone calls are going through every single round, and she's a must pick on almost every single team. And Vigil's pick rate slowly increased over time, and that's the biggest one that comes to memory. We see operators like Clash and Maverick. People are still trying to get the footing down for those operators, but we're seeing Clash used a lot more, and Maverick has certainly become quite the staple pick for certain maps. He does have a very large impact. Clash is a little bit harder to play, but still, I'm sure people will figure her out. When it comes up to the next season, when we see what those operators do, I'm sure we'll spend a month or two figuring out whether we like them or not. We'll probably be wrong, and then they'll be useful somehow, and then that'll just come into the meta.
All right, thank you, Mubi. Are there any final shout-outs or things you would like to say before I let you go?
Yeah, just a big thank you to the fans and all of the supporters and stuff. It's always fun to play competitively, and it's always better when you've got the fans behind you.
All right, thank you very much, and congratulations again to yourself and the rest of Secret. Demo, I'll get some last words for you then before we head on. Of course, as you said, Meepy, happy to be in the LAN, but expected it as everyone else did. They are the Premier team and should have done it. You then now obviously have a lot more to, or I'm going to make you say a lot more about the up-and-coming teams. I know we've harped on about it a bit, and we know that, as we said, the second place spot is super important because there are so many teams that could take it. And then once you do, and if you are forced down into the playoff spot, it could really go any way. It's not that once you're in playoffs, there's still a guarantee to they're getting out. Any 4 of the teams that end up in playoffs could do it. Looking at everything we've seen today for those teams that did play, today's performances alone, who do you think is most likely to pull off that second place guaranteed spot finish?
It just has to be M&M. Not necessarily because of the way they've played, it's just who they are playing next week, and it's Wind and Rain. They are going up against the weakest side in the league, who are still yet to get a point on the board. You always just, in terms of favourability, in terms of the matchup, it is basically David going against Goliath. Maybe, you know, David did beat Goliath, but I don't see it this time happening. It's really just more the fight for the seedings, and of course that 6th place spot will be battled out between Barrage and Horizon in our last match next week as well, so that is going to be one of the most crucial matches for both of those teams. It's a do or die, because if you don't make it, you don't get into week number 8, and then certainly playoffs. Well, I don't even know where playoffs are going to take us.
Exactly. Here are your updated confirmed standings then after today's games. And as Demo said, Team Secret are now untouchable at the top. But with Guidance, Vexed, Eminem and Unnamed all within 3 points of one another, that 2nd place spot is still up for grabs. It is still there. And whoever ends in 4th to 6th still has a chance to come to land. That playoff could still end up going in any which direction, because all 4 of those teams have shown some impressive moments, have shown some fancy play, and could bring it out when it counts to bring themselves to land.
Yeah, still more upcoming matches to go for. I still think the fight for 3rd will come down between Vex, Guidance and Unnamed. We'll have to see, really. I would say pressures on Guidance. Guidance has a lot of pressure behind them because they're going up against Secret, and Secret, they've already qualified. Sure, at this stage they may not care, but they just want to go unbeaten, as I'm sure they would want to. So yeah, Guidance, biggest game of their lives next week.
Definitely so. So without that, we have nothing left further to do other than, of course, say thank you to you guys for watching. Thank you to Demo for joining me. Thank you, of course, to the ESL guys for putting on the production. And, of course, thank you to Intel and Curry's PC World for sponsoring it, as well as AOC, PaySafeCard, Logitech, and Need for Seat for all helping to put this show on. Thank you very much, guys, for having me. It's been a pleasure being here. Maybe I'll show my face again at ESL Prem sometime soon. I'd like to. We'll see. And that's it from us here this afternoon. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
You ready? Huh? Hey, he's a good boy, huh? You ready? Huh?
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.
Stairs, stairs, stairs.
Nothing great ever happened without a witness.
Oh, you guys saw that?
With the power to capture comes the need to share.
Check this.
followed by the eyeballs and loud mouths chomping at the bit.
That was nuts.
The fate of the game rests in your hands.
Check this out. No.
Oh my. Oh.
Leave nothing to chance. Game, record, and stream without compromise. Only on Intel Core i7.